the official BSB Partner Series. This is FAB-Racing.
Hello and welcome back to the final day of the 2020 season here at the FAB-Racing 2020 Mini Bike British Championships. My name is Gareth Hall, joined as always and unfortunately for the final time by Tristan Finocchiaro. Tristan, we had the news break overnight. Unfortunately, round 8 at Landau is going to be cancelled. So this last day here at Red Lodge is very much our last foray here at FAB. What a season we've had so far. Yeah, absolutely. So it's quite unfortunate that we're not going to get to go over to Landau and enjoy some racing over there. But it does mean we do get to enjoy some championships going down to the wire here today. And also means some championships have already been won. Likes of Ethan Sparks has now won the AC40 Pro Championship. The Pit Bike 140 Championship has been won by Jamie King. And a few others have gone there as well. So it means that we get to enjoy some championships going down to the wire, but we would have liked to have had that one extra round left to go, and I'm sure all the riders would have liked to go to Landau, apart from probably the ones that have now won championships. Yeah, very much so, but yeah, very much champions have been crowned. However, stay tuned, we have got plenty more racing and we've got some mega championship battles coming up. The likes of the MKGP 50s, MKGP 70s, of course, equally plenty more. Moto team is going right down to the wire. The AC40 rookies are heading out on circuit, and that's going to be headed by a very, I'm sure, very excited Oliver Hall, who took the race win yesterday. Lewis Hull, unfortunately, after leading the entire race, went down on the final lap and allowed Oliver to sail past through to take another win on the season, and he was absolutely delighted, punching the air as he came across the line. And these rookies, of course, 6 years old on a 40cc air-cooled Mini Moto, restricted to 45 miles an hour using a restrictor plate on the exhaust. They are very much starting their career, and they're coming towards the end of their first season on two wheels and have done a brilliant job. And they'll be doing it here from Red Lodge Kart Circuit. And it's going to be Lewis Hull on pole position with his almost season-long rival Oliver Hall. Race winner yesterday in second. Third place man yesterday was Valentino Kimi Kirk. He lines up in third place today with Travis Shaw in fourth. Sam Gardner and Callum Maxwell lock out row 3 in 5th and 6th position, with Speed Pennegar in 7th and Aidan Belton in 8th. Bethany Ashby and Ollie O'Gorman, of course, younger brother of Casey O'Gorman, who we'll see later today, in 10th position, with Chloe Beasley and Jensen Bishop in 11th and 12th, locking out the back row and row 6 of this AC40 rookie grid. Here at Red Lodge, just outside of Bury St Edmunds, there's 11 turns here at the circuit, 6 to the left, 5 to the right. It's a 1,200 metre long circuit. But thank you very much for joining us, whether you're watching at home, on the road, you're listening on motorsport.radio, anywhere from in the world. You could be underwater, you could be up in the sky. Of course, you can listen live on motorsport.radio, of course, if you're tuning in on Fab Racing's Facebook and on their YouTube page. Very, very good morning to you. And Tristan, looks as though the rookies will have 2 more races today, and yesterday it was Lewis Hull. We're on of the riders down the outlap.
Travis Shaw, I think.
Yeah, Travis Shaw that's gone down. So yeah, we've seen this. We had a bit of overnight rain. There's a bit of standing water. It might catch out some of these riders.
Yeah, absolutely. So we saw a few crashes in warm-up earlier on today, and the conditions already catching out Travis Shaw there on the number 4 machine. So we expect to see these conditions being really difficult for these riders for their second race of the weekend. We did a really exciting race yesterday for race 1, and now they are ready to do action again here. It's going to be the first race of the day here, and we're going to have all these riders looking to bag up the points. Will Lewis Hull be able to pick up his first win of the season? We'll be finding out very shortly as they look to the lights for the first time, and they're away down into turn 1. It's a good start from Lewis Hull. He covers his line, but a brilliant start from Valentino Kimi Kirk, who goes into the lead from 3rd place on the grid. Speed Pennegar in there as well, you can see, and Oliver Hall now in 3rd, but Travis Shaw trying to go around the outside, can't quite make a move stick. They're all through the first complex nice and cleanly. Ollie Gorman also in there, but it's Lewis Hull who currently leads ahead of Oliver Hall and Travis Shaw in 3rd place.
Brilliant start there from Kimi Kirk, from 3rd on the grid all the way up into the lead. finished on the podium for the first time this season yesterday afternoon, and a brilliant launch off the line in the start grid down into turn 1, and he leads by about half a second to Oliver Hall, yesterday's race winner. Lewis Hull, pole sitter, dropping back to third position. Very tricky conditions, of course. There's a little bit more, the track's a little bit slipperier than it was for these guys yesterday, so once again it's a bit of an unknown, and they had a practice session this morning, but very much this is at race speed for the second time of the weekend. We've got Oliver Hall closing in on Valentino Kimi-Kirk, and Oliver Hall, we spoke about yesterday, is really starting to come alive at the end of this season. He's put a lot of training in over M4 karting in Swindon, and you've often mentioned that his technique is very sound for such a young rider.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can tell that he's been getting all the right advice as Oliver Hall, and he's been working really hard in the off season and in this season, and it's definitely paying off, because he's had a really good end to this season, picking up multiple podiums, and 3 seconds back at Rower as well. Got his first win back at Ella Park, and has pretty much been on the podium ever since. So helped a little bit by the fact that a lot of these riders will move up into the AC40 Pro category, but he's in there, also been at the front completely by his own accord, because he's been absolutely flying towards the end of this season, and it's been brilliant to see his progress through the season. But another rider who is progressing massively in this class as well is Valentino Kimi-Kirk, who is leading this race ahead of Oliver Hall and doing a brilliant job out the front. These two have now broken away from Travis Shaw, who's down in third place, but I think Lewis Hull has managed to take that place back from him. So it's this battle now between Lewis Hull, Travis Shaw, and Sam Gardner's in there as well. Zach Speed Pennegar is down in fifth place at the moment in this race, just ahead of Callum Maxwell. Those two are battling it out as well, but this battle for third place is hotting up really nicely between Lewis Hull, Travis Shaw, Sam Gardner's in there as well. So this is going to be really interesting to see how this one pans out as well. But Valentino Kimi-Kirk doing a brilliant job out the front to fend off Oliver Hall. Still 6 laps to go in this race at the moment, so plenty of time for anything to happen in this one, as Travis Shaw has a little look to the inside of Lewis Hull. Can't quite make a move stick there, but I'm sure these guys are going to be swapping positions as this race goes on.
Yeah, Travis Shaw, who picked up his first podiums back at Rowry, picked up a triple third place finish, and he'll be looking at doing it once again, but he's got to get past Lewis Hull, who's picked up a handful of podiums himself. 1 yesterday, and of course 2 back at Lydd and Ella Park. Travis Shaw gets to run down the back straight, can't quite get around the outside of Lewis Hull. Up at the front, the battle is still very much going on between Valentino Kimi-Kirk and Oliver Hall. There's fights going on throughout the field. We've got Speed Pennegar, Aidan Belton and Callum Maxwell all fighting out over a top 5 position. Speed Pennegar is looking for his best result this season, which would be beating 5th place. Has a quick glance to the right hand side just to see where his competitors are, and at the moment he's holding on to that 6th place that he's just been promoted up into. Valentino Kimi-Kirk still leading this one from Oliver Hall. Lewis Hull in 3rd, Travis Shaw, Sam Gardner, then Speed Pennegar, Aidan Belton, Callum Maxwell, Ollie Ogleman.
Aidan Belton that's gone down now as well, so out of that battle, Aidan Belton's crashed out of that battle for 5th place, so really unfortunate for the rider there, the number 35 with the green leathers, but he gets back on track and back restarted in this one.
I mean, that's a corner, turn 3, that we saw a lot of riders being caught out with. Watch out for turn 3 and turn 7, 2 very quick flicks of the bike, and that's one. Turn 3, we saw not only the minis going down but also the bigger bikes, so it's obviously catching out these riders today as well as it was yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a corner that's caught out a few riders so far. We saw it in warm-up as well, so it's definitely one that these guys are going to have to be careful of. They'll be feeling where the grip is around this circuit, but this battle for 3rd place is still going on now between Travis Shaw, Sam Gardner and Lewis Hull there, but it is Oliver Hall who's now taken the lead of this race as well, and has also pulled out 0.6 of a second lead over Valentino Kimi-Kirk. So Kimi-Kirk still very much in it in this race, but he's going to have to close down the number 3 of Oliver Hall, who is flying out the front of this one. There you can see on our screens there, Oliver Hall now leads ahead of Kimi-Kirk. A brilliant move from Oliver Hall to take that race lead, but now Kimi-Kirk is going to have to try and remain calm and see if he can take that one back. This will still be a season best result for Valentino if he can keep it in 2nd place, but I'm sure he's going to be looking for the win.
Yeah, he is, and he led off the start, had a brilliant run to turn 1, held off Oliver Hall, who's been charging to get hold of as many race wins in the late stages of this season as possible, and he's starting to break out a bit of a gap now between himself and Kimi-Kirk. It's now stretched up to just under under 7/10 of a second. And Oliver Hall, who will desperately want that. He's one of the most excitable riders in the paddock. You can see every time he crosses the line, if he's on the podium, whether it's first, second, third, he's punching the air in delight. He loves that feeling of standing on the podium, and that's a great thing for these young riders to want to achieve and get better with every round.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see, I mean, he was saying about how he was targeting the podium for so long. We spoke to him even back at Wilton Mill earlier in the season. He was saying that he was targeting that podium. He went out and got it at Ella Park, where he got a win, was his first podium actually, so that was really impressive. And like we said, hasn't been off it since, so it's been brilliant to see his progression, and equally for Valentino Kimi Kirk as well. But these guys scrapping it out for third place at the moment. Lewis Hull going really defensive, but Sam Gardner tries to go round the outside, but Lewis Hull has the inside line as they go through turn 7 one more time. Will Sam Gardner be able to get the drive on him down the back straight? Not quite close enough in this one, but these guys are going to be swapping positions as this race goes on. Still 2 laps to go in this race. Yeah,
lovely try there for Sam Gardner, trying to sweep around the outside into turn 8 and into the S's at turn 9, and wasn't quite able to get the move done, as the battle's still very much going on between the likes of Ollie Gorman, and that's another rider down there.
That's Speed Pennegar, the number 134 that's gone down, so he's going to try and get back on that one. Zach's calling over one of the marshals, trying to get that bike restarted. It looks as if the chain's hanging off that one, so it might be a little bit difficult to get that restarted. They take the bike off the circuit to try and see if they can get that chain. Yeah, that's the chain to back onto the sprocket of that bike, but they get back into this race. But it's the number 03 of Oliver Hall who is leading this race at the moment, and has set the fastest lap of the race on that last lap with a 1.4 second lead he now has over Valentino Kimi Kirk. So Valentino doing a brilliant job in second place in this race, but no one can quite match the pace of Oliver Hall out the front.
No, he's doing a brilliant job. In fact, now coming up to some back markers is your race leader Oliver Hall. He's got to make his way through around the outside. You don't want to get too far offline if you're Oliver, because he just about manages to keep off the grass there, because he would be finding himself very much sitting on the deck if he gets onto either one of these curbs or onto the grass. There's been a lot of rain. It's very slippery offline. We've seen it catch up even the Extreme 200 riders, which of course are the majority of the British Talent Cup paddock, and they've been caught out. We saw 2 race leaders go down yesterday, so these rookies that are out there for the first time today are really trailblazing the path for everyone else to find out where the grip is, as we've got 1 lap left to go, and it's going to be Oliver Hall leading around. He's got he's got a couple of bikes between himself and Valentino Kimi Kirk, going around the outside using the traffic to his advantage, and that's a brilliant move there from Oliver, just navigating his way through past some slower bikes. He's just got 2 more corners to go, and Oliver Hall looking at making it another win on the season, and I'm sure we will see some more absolute jubilant displays from Oliver as he comes up to the line, takes the checkered flag, and Oliver, once again, your race winner here in the AC40 rookie class. But as you can see, their fist up there, had to work hard for that one. Kimi Kirk, brilliant result for him in second position. It's going to be a run to the line between Lewis Hull, and he manages to just hold off Sam Gardner, who desperately tried to move up from third into the podium, and they both jumped ahead of Travis Shaw. But once again, what a result for Oliver Hall. Definitely one to watch in the future.
Yeah, another win there for Oliver Hall. Brilliant result from him, and a brilliant second place from Valentino Kimi Kirk, who we saw take that second place. Also had a podium yesterday as well, but that's unfortunately one of the riders not finishing in this one as well. So yeah, brilliant result from Oliver Hall to take that victory, and there it is confirmed. Then Oliver Hall it was that took the win ahead of Valentino Kimi Kirk and Lewis Hull in third place. Sam Gardner, a brilliant 4th place from him ahead of the number 4 of Travis Shaw. Callum Maxwell down there in 6th place, just ahead of Aidan Bolton. Ollie O'Gorman in 8th, Ashby in 9th, and Chloe Beasley in 10th place.
Yeah, lovely way to start off the day here from Red Lodge, the final round of the season here at FAB-Racing, the Minibike British Championship. Of course, we had the news overnight. Really unfortunate that unfortunately we have had to cancel round 8 at Glendower, South Wales in 2 weeks' time. So very much championships are on the line today. However, one that is not one was sewn up yesterday, and we didn't manage to call it, which is unfortunate, but we're going to see him on circuit very shortly, is Ethan Sparks in this AC40 Pro class. And well, this one has been coming, hasn't it? It was a huge advantage he had coming into this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So he with the round 8 of Glendower being cancelled, Ethan Sparks has won the AC40 Pro Championship, so he is your 2020 AC40 Pro champion. He actually won it at the final final race back at Rara, so he'd won it before he'd even got here. We weren't able to call it because we thought we were going to Clandau as the next round, but he is now our champion, and it's been a brilliant display from Ethan all year. He's been really dominant in this one, and he's just managed to edge out that championship leader. And you can see there a 397 point lead he has over Archie Gibbs, who is currently second in this championship. But this is currently provisional points in this championship at the moment that we see at this side of the screen. But it's going to be about that battle for second now between Gibbs and Williams.
Yeah, and of course Archie Gibbs, who went down at turn 7 on the first lap yesterday after leading off the line. So Archie has got some work to do, because Josh Williams will definitely be looking at closing in, retaking second. Of course, if first isn't on offer, you want the next best thing, and that will be second place. So Josh Williams and Archie Gibbs will very much be looking at doing that. Archie O'Brien, he's still in that hunt, still looking at trying to close in, but it's a tough ask for Archie. He'll be looking at perhaps even picking up some more points than the LC40 Elites, which we'll see later today. However, it is going to be Ethan Sparks, the 62, your champion for the AC40 Pros, and he is, I'm sure, very, very happy. You spoke to him on Friday, and he's going for a championship. Well, he's got one in the AC40s, and he's going in the MKGP 50s too. So Ethan Sparks will, I'm sure, be absolutely delighted waking up this morning knowing that he's got already one championship in the bag. Just a little bit more work to do as they head out for their warm-up lap.
Yeah, it also means there's less pressure on Ethan Sparks going into this one. Doesn't need to go out and score any points at all, really, because he's already won that championship. I'm sure he's going to be going out there to prove that he has what it takes to be the champion. But it is Archie Gibson who is on pole position ahead of Ethan Sparks, your 2020 champion. Marco Holt, the number 58, is third place on the grid ahead of the number 42 of Thorley Trevorrow. Josh Williams, the number 78, lines up in fifth spot on the grid ahead of Archie O'Brien. The number 7 of Luke Fitcher is in 7th, just ahead of Bill Harris in 8th. Byron Johnson, the number 37, he lines up in 9th place ahead of Harrison Day in 10th. Austin Johnson, brother to Byron, lines up in 11th, just ahead of Noah Guillory in 12th spot on the number 41, and rounding out your grid here for the AC40 Pros. Race 2 coming up very, very shortly as they come round to complete their warm-up lap and head on to the grid to start their first race of the day here, and it's for their last race day of this year.
Yeah, and watch out for the 42 of Thorley Trevorrow in 4th position. Had a brilliant day yesterday, and Thorley will once again be hoping to have the same luck once again in this one. And yeah, this is championship decided. However, 2 more races to go as they get ready to look to the lights and start the second race of their weekend here from Red Lodge Circuit in Suffolk. This is the second race of the weekend for the AC40 Pros as they look to the lights. Lights on, lights off. Who gets the better launch off the line? It's going to be Ethan Sparks from second, who sweeps around the outside of Gibbs into the lead going into turn 1. Marco Holt was looking to the inside of Archie, but the door has very much been shut in his face. So Archie Gibbs drops back into second position behind. Everyone starts to filter the way through turn 3 and into the 180 for the first time. Looks as though everyone's got away cleanly, but brilliant start for Ethan Sparks.
Yeah, brilliant start there from Ethan Sparks, absolutely. And around the outside of Archie Gibbs into turn 1. Brilliant move to take the lead in this race. He's going out there and proving that why he is the champion in this AC40 Pro category, and already has a little bit of a lead now over Archie Gibbs. So Gibbs just needs to be able to regroup and make sure he can get back onto the back of Ethan Sparks. Still, of course, a long way to go left in this race, but battles all the way through this field, and these two have gotten away out the front now, and it's Thorley Trevorrow who's in third place and defending that third place. But that's Bill Harris, the number 14, that's gone down on the far end of the circuit. So a disaster first lap for Bill Harris, and that's the number 42 of Thorley Trevorrow that's gone down as well. So that was your third place man out of this race. He tries to get restarted and back into this race. We've seen this a few times from Thorley. He always puts himself in a good position, but sometimes just makes that one mistake and crashes out. Yeah,
just a little bit over eager from Thorley there. Perhaps just realised that he was in the battle for the lead and just overcooked it a little bit, and unfortunately for him that was dropped him to the back of the field. However, Ethan Sparks leading away, the 62, the champion in this AC40 Pro class. He's looking at doing it on both the Mini Moto and on the Metrica GP50 bike a little bit later on. Will it be a double championship day for the rider from Maidstone in Kent? he will definitely be hoping so. But he's definitely been, we were discussing this last night over dinner, our star of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So possibly wrapping up 2 championships this year and being so consistent in both of them. Hardly any DNFs, hardly any finishing positions off the podium. He's been so consistently on the podium, which has been such an impressive thing from Ethan Sparks. And of course, one of the only riders in any championship to have done a hat-trick on the weekend and picked up 3 race wins from 3. He's done it in the AC40 Pros. He's also done it in the MKGP 50s. So it's really impressive from him. But this battle now for 3rd place between the number 58 of Marco Holt and the number 75 of Joshua Williams is hotting up really nicely. We can also see Byron Johnson having a brilliant race up into 5th place ahead of Archie O'Brien. So that's a brilliant ride so far from Byron Johnson. We'll have to wait and see how his race pans out as well. But now Josh Williams having a look up the inside of Marco Holt. Can't make a move sick here. Now back to Byron Johnson and Archie O'Brien. These two battling it out for 5th place. Archie, a rider we see really quick over in the LC40 Elite category. Equally quick here, but not quite as much of a dominant force in this one as he is on the liquid cool bikes.
No, which is strange, but it's good to see Byron Johnson right up there in the thick of it. And I think that really shows that this AC40 Rookies Cup that we've just seen the likes of Oliver Hall take that win in is working, because they come up, they're race ready to come into this pro class.
Yeah, absolutely so. And you can tell that Byron Johnson has done a lot of learning in his first year of racing the AC40 Rookies. He's gone and got podiums, wins in that, then he's moved up to this one. It's taking him a little bit of time to get used to this category, and it will do, because of course he is in his first season of racing, and a lot of these riders have done a lot of seasons before. Even Ethan Sparks, your champion, he was 2nd in this championship last year, so all these riders do have that extra little bit of edge of experience over the likes of Byron Johnson, Austin Johnson, Harrison Day, who's also moved up from the AC40 Rookies. But it's a brilliant system, because they're in the AC40 Rookies, they're able to battle it out with each other, and riders like Harrison Day, who we're looking at now, who's just following Bill Harris. Harrison Day down in 9th place in this race. We saw him dominate the AC40 Rookies back at Rower, and now he's having a go in this one, and it's going to push his level on a lot more as well, because now he's with riders who are a little bit quicker. The level's a little bit higher here in the AC40 Pros, and he's going to be learning 10 times quicker than he was back in the AC40 Rookies. But he's managed to get some wins and podiums under his belt, so he knows what it's like to fight at the front of races as well. So when he does get to the front of this championship, he won't be in unfamiliar territory. But it's Ethan Sparks who is at the front of this one and set the fastest lap of the race last time round.
No, absolutely not, and you're completely right, as Bill Harris sends it up the inside of Luke Fitchett going into the 180, and this is a nice little ride for Bill Harris after going down earlier on. He's now forced his way back through into 8th position from the back of the grid. So yeah, nice little run for the 14, just deciding to get back on the bike and back underway. He's now got to close in on Austin Johnson, of course, brother to Byron Johnson, who's a little bit further up the road, and Bill looking very strong.
Yeah, absolutely so. Bill Harris all over the rear wheel of Austin Johnson at the moment after that crash he had earlier on. I believe it was through that corner that he's just gone through as well. But this is your race leader, Ethan Sparks, the number 62, flying out the front. 8.6 second lead he has ahead of the number 3 of Archie Gibbs, and that battle for 2nd place in the championship hotting up really nicely as well. Archie Gibbs is 2nd place in this race, Josh Williams in 4th, and it's Josh Williams who moved up into 2nd place in the championship overnight. Yeah,
and the battle between Archie Gibbs and Josh Williams is really starting to heat up for 2nd in that championship, because Ethan Sparks, your 2020 AC40 Pro champion, has been a stunning rider to watch so far this season. It just looks so smooth on the bike, whether it be this mini moto, of course the 40cc air cooled, and of course the MKGP, the Metrokit GP 50 bike, which he will be getting onto later in that battle between himself and Ronnie Harris, which he's looking quite well placed to take a double championship. But Ethan once again leading away, which is something we've seen a lot from him so far this season. He's had taken up to yesterday half of this season's race wins, so it shows you just how strong and dominant he's been, and you've got to think that he's definitely one to watch for the future. I'm sure Ethan Sparks is a name we'll be seeing moving up into the BSB paddock in just a few years' time.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talked to him the other day, he was telling us about how he has his eyes set on the British Talent Cup, like a lot of these riders do, and he'll be looking to move up into the MKGP 70 class next year, and he's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with in that one, because we saw how fast he is on the GP50s as well. But Archie O'Brien now has made his way through on Byron Johnson, and Austin Johnson and Bill Harris now right on the back of Byron and Archie. So this battle for 5th place is now a 4-rider train. For 5th place is as Byron Johnson goes round the outside of Archie O'Brien and leaves me lost for words there. But a brilliant move there from Byron Johnson. Archie just got a little bit unsettled, just a little bit too much of a tight line there from Archie, and that allowed Byron to go round the outside of him. But now it's Austin Johnson who's having a look at Archie O'Brien as well. But Bill Harris, this is a brilliant recovery from him after crashing out earlier on.
Yeah, all the way back up into 8th position at the moment, and in this battle that could take him all the way up into 5th. So yeah, brilliant ride for the 14 of Bill Harris. He's just got to navigate his way around, keep it on 2 wheels, and Archie O'Brien, who's desperately trying to hold off the second of the Johnson brothers, with Byron having passed him on the last lap. Austin looking very racy indeed in this one, and it's good to see Austin having a better run. He had a bit of fall in Friday practice, and maybe it shook him up a little bit. He got back on the bike and he did very nicely indeed, but he's now closing in on a multi-time winner in the LC40 Elite class, Archie O'Brien, who, like you say, just hasn't quite had the pace in this AC40 Pro class. And in fact, can Austin look around the outside? That's a move we've seen done, especially up in the GP70s with Lucas Brown and Johnny Garnes. They'll be heading out on circuit later today, and Austin trying to go around the outside as we go on to the final lap, with Ethan Sparks leading this one away from Archie Gibbs in 2nd position. Marco Holt looking for a 7th podium on the season. However, it's that man Ethan Sparks that will be looking at picking up his 10th win here in the AC40 Pro class, and he's done it in style. He's got a huge lead, 13 seconds over Archie Gibbs. Yeah,
really impressive stuff from Ethan Sparks. We've seen him do it many times before, but here is your 2020 AC40 Pro champion, crosses the line and takes another victory for Ethan Sparks. Been absolutely dominant at the front of this class, and that is why he is your 2020 AC40 Pro champion here at the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championships. Archie Gibbs will come across the line to take 2nd place, and that'll be good in his championship battle between him and Joshua Williams. But this battle for 5th place is also going down to the wire between Byron Johnson, Archie O'Brien, Austin Johnson and Bill Harris to go down into the final corner for the final time, and it's going to be Byron Johnson that picks up that 5th place ahead of Archie O'Brien and his competitors. Brilliant 5th place there from Byron Johnson. That's a very well deserved result from him after moving up from the AC40 rookies. But there he is, your 2020 champion. Yeah, what a season that man has had. Ethan Sparks should be absolutely delighted with himself. And the 62, well, we will see that. I'm sure that number coming up for the future in a lot of different categories. And very much, I said earlier on, he's a bit of a lightning in a bottle rider. And he comes around and he's going to do a victory lap to celebrate this championship in the AC40 Pro champion. Ethan Sparks rolling into P1. Well, that's where he's used to being. And well, what more can we say? He's had a superlative season. We've said almost every round that he's looking as though he's been getting towards this championship. And then finally, as you say, back at Rara, we didn't know at the time, but he'd clinched it. And then, well, this weekend he's just been consistent. And well, what a way to confirm yourself, but by picking up another victory. Exactly, absolutely so. And he's been the only rider who's been up there at every single round, and has been picking up wins at every single round that he's been in. He's the only rider also to pick up a hat-trick of wins back at the first round at Lid. 3 wins from 3 he took at round 1, and he's picked up multiple wins ever since, and he's just been absolutely dominant at the front of this one. Going into this weekend, he had 17 out of 18 podiums, and there he is standing up and just enjoying this victory lap. Enjoy it while you can, Ethan, because that was a brilliant AC40 Pro Championship from yourself, and he's going to be going out to do battle later on in the MKGP 50s as well. Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do today, but however, he can enjoy this one just out there on his own. He led from the front and got away 13-second lead, and it gives a wave to the camera, and well, that is a deserved champion there in this 2020 AC40 Pro class. And Ethan Sparks, very much a name to watch out for in the future. And we've seen the likes of Scott Redding, Danny Kent, Brad Ray come through FAB-Racing. Well, Ethan Sparks may just be that next one. He is your 2020 AC40 Pro champion. Congratulations, Ethan Sparks. Such brilliant to see, such a dominant performance from a young rider like Ethan Sparks, and that is going to be a name to look out for in the future. But now moving to names that have already been through these championships and coming back here to Fab Racing to have a little bit of fun. Plenty of British Talent Cup riders in this one, Junior Super Sport riders and all sorts from BSB. It is the Extreme 200s.
And that was another championship that was sewn up yesterday. Unfortunately, unbeknown to us, it is Ryan Hitchcock, the 43, who will be lining up from second position. That is your champion in the Extreme 200s. Of course, we talked about this yesterday, that this is very much like a British Talent Cup, with all of these British Talent Cup riders and BSB paddock riders have come back down into the Extreme 200s. And yeah, Ryan Hitchcock, one of those British Talent Cup riders, he, as you can see, Eddie O'Shea going backwards in the motion there, but Ryan Hitchcock has been consistent. He closed down Charlie Nesbitt's points tally and he took it, and he's confirmed himself as 2020 champion.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Ryan Hitchcock's been at all of the rounds scoring points, and that's what's brought him this championship victory. And the top 8 on this grid, all BSB riders. The top 5, all British Talent Cup riders, just interrupted by Junior Supersport rider there in 6th place, James Dutton. But there it is, it's Casey O'Gorman, who is on pole position, British Talent Cup favourite as well. Ryan Hitchcock in 2nd place, just ahead of Evan Belford, who will line up in 3rd place on the grid. Eddie O'Shea in 4th on the number 8 machine. Harrison Crosby, the number 93, will line up in 5th ahead of James Dutton on the number 114 in 6th. James Cook, brother of Max Cook, will line up 7th place on the grid, just ahead of Rossi Banham. Mark Evans in 9th. Jack Andrews rounding out the top 10. And Peter Parapanos on the number 39 bike in 11th place, and rounding out this grid for the Extreme 200 Race 2 here at Red Lodge Circuit. This is the final round of the Fab Racing Mini Bike British Championships. We already have our champion for this Extreme 200 race, so these guys are going to be going at it to see who can pick up more wins in this Extreme 200 category here at Red Lodge. Will it be Casey Gorman? Will it be Hitchcock? We'll find out very shortly as they look to the lights. The lights go on and they hold for a very long time, and they're out. A little bit of a wheelie there for Casey O'Gorman. Not the start he would have wanted, but it's Ryan Hitchcock who gets a brilliant start up into the lead. Harrison Crosby's lost a couple of positions there. Eddie O'Shea moving up the order. Evan Belford also in there. So all these riders getting away nice and cleanly on this first sector, but it's Casey O'Gorman who is just going to be a little bit kicking himself after that start.
Yeah, it's the same thing he did yesterday, just lifted the front tyre going out off the markers, and yeah, this time around Ryan Hitchcock was able to get a better run and up into the lead of this one. And your champion of 2020, Ryan Hitchcock, leads away from British Talent Cup rider Casey O'Gorman. And then you've got the battle behind that can go anywhere. We saw this one. We saw the battle for the lead with Ryan Hitchcock, Harrison Crosby and Eddie O'Shea yesterday, with 2 of them, with Ryan Hitchcock and Harrison Crosby going down in the late stages, and it allowed Eddie O'Shea through to take that win. Eddie, of course, started from 4th on the grid. What can he do today? And we'll see as they come across the line. It's going to be Ryan Hitchcock from Casey O'Gorman, Evan Belford. Good start from Evan in 3rd position. Harrison Crosby, Eddie O'Shea down to 5th position now. So not a great start from Eddie.
No, Eddie O'Shea just battling out with Harrison Crosby on circuit there. We just saw them swapping positions, and that's Harrison Crosby now who's made his way back around the number 8 of Eddie O'Shea. Eddie O'Shea will try and get the drive, but we were talking about this yesterday, Gareth. He's just seems to be running on a pit bike 140 in this Extreme 200 class, so he's just down on power a little bit compared to these slightly faster bikes. You can see the difference in size between the bikes as well, but Eddie O'Shea doing a really good job to stick it with these guys, as well as he just goes underneath the number 93 of Harrison Crosby, and now he'll be looking. It's the 2 British Talent Cup leathers next to each other, the number 52 and the number 8 of Eddie O'Shea. You can just see Eddie signalling to Harrison Crosby there, just a little bit frustrated with his straight line speed.
Yeah, and but he is still getting on with it, and still in this fight for the podium is Eddie O'Shea. However, Ryan Hitchcock is now 1.3 seconds up the road from Casey O'Gorman. Casey doesn't quite have an answer for this pace set in the early stages of this one by your champion of 2020, Ryan Hitchcock, on the 43, and he has a quick glance behind. Casey is still there, but if we don't know anything about Casey O'Gorman, it's that he never ever gives up.
No, absolutely not. We saw back at Lid, even in the GP70s, when he did a wild card in there, he'd crashed out, rejoined the race, and still found his way up up into third or second, I believe it was. So he's just absolutely, like you say, doesn't give up, and don't expect him to be giving up in this race either. But it's Eddie O'Shea who's still battling with these guys. He's now made his way ahead of Evan Belford, but Harrison Crosby now up into fourth place. But we were just saying that Casey O'Gorman doesn't give up, and he's up into the lead, but it looks as if there's a problem for the number 43 of Ryan Hitchcock. That is the chain that has come off that KTM 85 of Ryan Hitchcock. He looks down, he looks distraught with that one. He's not happy with that one at all.
No, punching the handlebars was your race leader, Ryan Hitchcock, but it promotes Casey O'Gorman up into the lead. This one, as you can see, Ryan gets off the bike, has a look and go, what has happened to this? It was working so nicely, trying to work the chain back on, but it promotes Casey O'Gorman up into second position. That means Harrison Crosby now up into Casey into first, Harrison into second, and Eddie O'Shea up into third position. They've dropped Evan Belford. Evan, after starting nicely, was running in second. He's now dropped, and he's fallen back a couple of seconds behind this battle between Harrison Crosby and Eddie O'Shea. And Eddie, as you say, on that slightly smaller bike, but it's going to be a little bit more nimble around the tighter corners, especially the 180 and the S's section, as Ryan Hitchcock just tries to get that bike re-going, having to roll his way around, and maybe not the way that he wanted to crown his championship. But Eddie O'Shea up the inside and around Harrison Crosby up into second in this one. Of course, Eddie, your race winner from race 1 yesterday, came across the line in second. However, Casey O'Gorman coming across the line in first without a transponder was not classified. So, but this one is still going on. As you can see, Eddie just signalling to Harrison behind to come with him and keep fighting. We know that Eddie likes to have these battles out on track, whether it's with the likes of Charlie Nesbitt, Ryan Hitchcock, and equally all of the other riders from the BTC paddock.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just signalling to stay behind there. He thinks he can go catch Casey O'Gorman at the front of this one, but Casey had almost a 6-second lead on that last lap, so it's going to be a tall order for these guys to try and go catch Casey O'Gorman at the front of this one. But as he comes on to the straight, and there's 7 laps still to go in this race. Of course, Eddie O'Shea down on power on that pit bike 140, running with the Extreme 200s all over the rear wheel of the number 93, and that is Harrison Crosby that's gone down, the number 93. We saw him go down yesterday, and he's gone down again today, but he gets back on the bike and rejoined into this race. Oh,
the worst. It's the same corner for Harrison Crosby too, exactly the same as what we saw yesterday, and he'll be gutted with that, because once again, another good result for Harrison. He's yet to win this season. He's picked up 7 podiums, but desperately wanted to be picking up another one, but it looks as though he's dropped behind Eddie O'Shea and Evan Belford. Now he's starting to get closed in on by Mark Evans and Jack Andrews behind, so unfortunately there for Harrison Crosby, who set the fastest lap of the race in the last time around, so possibly just pushing a little bit too hard to try and close in on Casey.
Yeah, absolutely. So he did set the fastest lap of the race, like you say, on that last lap, so definitely pushing on. He's just set the fastest lap of the race again with a 41.4, but he's so flying on circuit, but just needs to be able to keep it on 2 wheels out there. And just looking further back of one of the Bucci Moto bikes of, I believe that's Peter Parapanos out there, just enjoying life on that bike there. So awesome to see a variety of bikes here in this Extreme 200 class, and these guys battling out the number 14 of Jack Andrews and Peter Parapanos in there as well. But it's Casey O'Gorman who's leading this one by 6.3 seconds as Jack Andrews goes up the inside there. Brilliant move there from the number 14 bike as he battles it out with the number 61 of Mark Evans. It is, sorry, not Peter Parapanos, Mark Evans on the number 161 Bucci Moto, and that's Ryan Hitchcock that possibly has got his chain back on there, rejoined, and just looking as if he's trying to get a few more laps in here, but he's just coming towards the side of the circuit, so perhaps just can't quite get that bike up and running. So unfortunate for the number 43.
Yeah, I just looked out the commentary box window, and on the exit at the first corner he just came to a grinding halt, and unfortunately for him it looks as though very much that Ryan's race is run, just not able to get that bike working again. But Eddie O'Shea last time around, fastest lap of the race, 50.577. He was comfortably faster than Casey O'Gorman, in fact 1.2 seconds faster. So the 8 of Eddie O'Shea is starting to close in, and with 5 laps left to go, well, if you can put in laps like that, then it's going to be mega close come the end of this one. And down through the straight you can see Eddie tucking in and really starting to just have a look at the back of Casey O'Gorman. He can see as Casey goes down at turn 3. Casey O'Gorman, your race leader, down at turn 3. Disaster for for the leader. That's the same thing. We've seen that so many times this weekend from race leaders and people in podium positions. Casey O'Gorman with an unlikely mistake from quite a comfortable first position.
Yeah, not what we're used to seeing from the number 72 of Casey O'Gorman, but that now it falls into the hands of Eddie O'Shea, the number 8, who is going to be wanting to take another win in this race. But so a brilliant ride from Eddie O'Shea, just managing to keep it on the black stuff and keep it nice and quick there on that number 8 pit bike 140 going around this grid. But it's going to be 3 laps to go as he comes over to cross the line, and he is leading this race. So Eddie O'Shea, your new race leader. Not a mistake we're used to seeing from the number 72 of Casey O'Gorman.
No, not at all. But although the rain is definitely starting to come down as well, the track is going to be getting wetter and wetter. There's still a little bit of standing water from overnight, but the rain is starting to come. It was unfortunately, it looked as though it was meant to be dry, but very much the weather has lied as it usually does. But Eddie O'Shea doing exactly what he needs to do, and that's keep it on the 2 rubber things that keep it on the black thing, and he's doing a great job of getting around this circuit. And I don't want to drop in a commentator's curse because we've already done that a few times this season, so I will just say that he's having a very, very good race, and I hope he manages to get around his final 2.5 laps. Evan Belford is ahead of Casey O'Gorman, and Casey, you can think, is going to be seeing red after making that mistake and wants to get back up ahead of Evan Belford. He gets a run out of the exit of the S's. Can he get up the outside? No, not quite. Evan just shuts him off at the final corner as they go around Paddock Bend at the final corner. They go up to take the second or the penultimate lap. Casey O'Gorman looking very racy, but I'm sure Evan Belford's desperately going to want to keep him behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Both these guys MKGP 70 champions from the past. Of course, Evan Belford, last year's MKGP 70 champion. Casey O'Gorman from a few years ago. And these guys now battling it out on circuit, and they also battling out over in the British Talent Cup. But now, yeah, like you say, Casey O'Gorman is going to be wanting to get past the number 52 of Evan Belford in this one. He's all over his rear wheel at the moment, and he's going to be looking to find his way through. He gets a nice wide entrance into turn 7, having a look down into can he get the drive out of turn 8 onto the back straight, and he does. Brilliant move there from number 72 of Casey O'Gorman. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can, as they go into the final corner, just trying to pick the bikes back up. There is the number 8 of Eddie O'Shea. He is leading this race on this final lap, and again just fallen lucky to some luck that's happened in front of him.
Yeah, this is exactly what we saw yesterday, as that's the 14 of Jack Andrews to the start of the circuit as Eddie O'Shea passes him down the straight run, the back straight. Just a few more corners to go for Eddie O'Shea. Well, he may not be your Extreme 200 race champion this season, however he is going to be a 2-time race winner this weekend. One more to go. Can he make it the hat-trick? Standing up down through the Simpson Straight at the back into the final corner goes Eddie O'Shea. Has a look behind, there's no one in sight. Eddie O'Shea takes the checkered flag and is your race winner for race 2 of the Extreme 200s, and he's going to do it by a huge margin. Casey O'Gorman and Harrison Crosby went down. Casey is going to come across the line, and he manages to recover back to second position. Evan Belford will take 3rd place, and Harrison Crosby will be coming across the line. I'm sure will be kicking himself that he didn't manage to keep it on 2 wheels again, and he drops off of the podium. But brilliant race once again. Eddie O'Shea just keeping it on 2 wheels and doing what he needs to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, just did exactly what he needed to do there. Kept it on the black stuff and came across the line in first. Of course, to win first you have to finish the race, and a brilliant victory it was for the number 8 of Eddie O'Shea. He's going to be looking to put that to translate that over into the British Talent Cup next weekend. So yeah, brilliant victory from Eddie O'Shea, who wins ahead of Casey O'Gorman. Evan Belford picking up a podium in 3rd ahead of Harrison Crosby, who rejoined to finish into 4th place. Mark Evans on that Bucci moto in 5th ahead of James Dutton in 6th, Jack Andrews in 7th, and Peter Paraparos down in 8th place. And last in this race, of course, Ryan Hitchcock not finishing that one after technical issues earlier in this race. So brilliant victory there from Eddie O'Shea, and you're going to be thinking that's going to put him in a good mindset for Donington Park next weekend in the Talent Cup.
Yeah, one over on Casey O'Gorman, and that's a paddock that you'll be next weekend. So of course I'm sure you can keep tabs on everything that's going on, whether it be British Talent Cup, whether it be the stock 600s that you'll be racing in. So there's Clayton Edmonds just bouncing up and down on the bike, psyching himself up. Now Clayton is very much a man to watch today, because he was sensational in these conditions yesterday, and we spoke to him after the race yesterday, and we spoke to his parents, and they were saying they were delighted, and he was on another level when it comes to these greasy conditions, and he fought all the way through from 7th on the grid, just missed out on a race win behind Ethan Sparks yesterday, but Clayton looking very, very happy on that 146.
Yeah, absolutely. They were saying he's got webbed feet, has Clayton Edmonds, so he'll be looking to do that again here in the wet weather conditions. Equally, he is quick in the dry as well. We've seen him battling for podiums in the dry as well, so you can see he's looking really psyched up and ready to go in this race. Is the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds. But in this category, it's all about that battle for the championship between Ethan Sparks and Ronnie Harris. Only 48 points between them in this one.
Only 48 points. Well, that means that Ethan Sparks, if he wins this one, he is the champion. Well, he's already the AEC 40 Pro champion. Well, the 62 will be looking at making it a double in just a few races. And if he wins, he's champion. If he's second, Ronnie Harris in the 66 needs to win to take it to a third race decider. But even then, it's very much stacked in the hand of Ethan Sparks. And equally, Ethan, he just needs to outscore Ronnie Harris by 3 single points, with that gap at 48 points. So 3 points extra for Ethan Sparks will wrap up the MKGP 50 championship, and it's another championship that Ethan has been absolutely sublime in. Not finished lower than 5th position all season. He had a 50% win rate coming into this weekend. He took a hat-trick back at Rowra, and he extended that lead yesterday, with Ronnie Harris not having the greatest of races, fighting outside of the podium. Of course, you had the likes of Blake Wilson and Clayton Edmonds on the podium, so not a great result for Ronnie Harris. Worst possible start to his weekend. However, if you're Ethan Sparks, delighted with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ethan Sparks got a very comfortable margin at the front of this championship. Of course, we'll only need a 25-point lead going into race 3, so very likely we'll be seeing Ethan Sparks crowned champion in this one, but anything can happen in racing, of course.
It can. But of course, he's got to keep it on 2 wheels, doing exactly what we saw from Eddie O'Shea in the previous race, the Extreme 200. But the black and orange, the 62 of Ethan Sparks, will roll into pole position, and he's in a prime position to take this one, because championship rival Ronnie Harris has got some work to do from 5th on the grid. The 66, he has got so much work to do, a lot of pressure on the 66. Can he close in? It's going to be ever so close. 401 provisional points for Ethan Sparks. Ronnie Harris back on 353. It's going to be a lot of work if you're Ronnie Harris to try and close in. And then the battle for 3rd position in the championship is still going on between Harrison McKay and Ollie Horner. So Ollie will be looking at wrapping up the 3rd position in that championship. He'll be lining up in 2nd alongside your poleman and current championship leader Ethan Sparks. What can Ethan do from the pole? Can he make it to championships on both the mini bikes and on the MotoGP 50s? Has a quick glance around him, just getting in the zone. Now, Tristan, this is going to be a massive race.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ethan Sparks doesn't need to do a lot to win it in this one, but he's going to be lining up from pole position, so he's in the perfect place to take that championship victory. Ollie Horner, it will be on the number 70 machine in 2nd place, and Philip Soroviak in 3rd on the grid. Blake Wilson, the number 108, will line up in 4th ahead of Ronnie Harris, 2nd man in the championship in 5th. Charlie Huntingford will be in 6th place ahead of the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds in 7th, very fast in the wet. Watch out for him. The number 61 of Harrison McKay lines up in 8th place on the grid ahead of Harry Payne in 9th. Samuel Munson, the 72, is in 10th place and rounding out the top 10. Number 20 of Casey Sperry in 11th spot on the grid ahead of Ollie Sims in 12th. Felix Dorling in 13th with Jacob Stevenson, the number 67, in 14th on the grid. The number 41 of Noah Guillory lines up in 15th place on the grid, with the number 90 of Isaiah Devine rounding out your grid in 16th spot on this grid. But Ethan Sparks, what can he do in this race? Just needs to finish in front of Ronnie Harris to win this one. Just needs a 25-point advantage going into race 3, and with a 48-point advantage now, it's you definitely say you'd have your money on Ethan.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you're Ronnie Harris, you could really do with a non-finish for the 62 to give him a shot going into race 3. So it's going to be a tight and testy affair. What will it be? Will it be a good start from the pole man, Ethan Sparks? Ollie Horner, watch out for him. He's had some really good starts so far this season. Philip Soroviak, best qualifying results so far of the season, in 3rd position. Blake Wilson has come alive at the end of this one. He's in 4th as they get ready to look to the lights for the 2nd race of the weekend for the MKGP 50s. Lights on, lights off, and down towards turn 1. It's a good start from Ethan Sparks. Sweeps up through into turn 1. Ollie Horner maintains 2nd position. Blake Wilson is trying to hold on to 3rd. Clayton Edmonds, once again, a brilliant start from the 146, sweeping from 7th into 3rd by the end of the 3rd corner.
Yeah, brilliant. Up the inside through into turn 2 and picking up positions as he goes through this first lap. Number 66 of Ronnie Harris, quite far down this order. He's going to have to be thinking about this championship. He's going to be wanting to try and take it to the race 3, and he has to finish in front of Ethan Sparks to be able to do that, but he's quite a way away from the number 62 at the moment, with Ethan just pulling away at the front of this one. Blake Wilson there in 2nd place, but now that's Clayton Edmonds up the inside of Blake Wilson, so Clayton Edmonds now up into 2nd place in this race. We'll have to wait and see what he can do. Will he be able to catch Ethan Sparks? He's already on his back wheel, and you'd have to say he's looking really good at the start of this race. Ronnie Harris now up ahead of Ollie Horner, and he's going to be looking to close down on Blake Wilson. So now Ronnie Harris up into 4th place in this race, but it's the number 62 of Ethan Sparks that leads ahead of the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds, with Blake Wilson currently in 3rd. Clayton was going to be looking to try and get his win in this race yesterday after just losing out to Ethan yesterday.
Yeah, this is what we saw yesterday. We saw Ethan Sparks and Clayton Edmonds really just disappear and fight for this race lead. Clayton just didn't quite find the gap to send that 146 down the inside, but this time around he's looking very racy indeed. Ethan just knows he needs to finish ahead of Ronnie Harris, who's now in 4th position after getting past Ollie Horner on that last lap, and Ollie Horner now dropping down behind Harrison McKay into 6th position. So not a great start to Ollie Horner, who started from 2nd on the grid. Ronnie Harris doesn't quite have the pace in these early stages. We know that Ronnie does tend to come alive later on in the race, but he needs to start closing in. However, race lead change, and it's Clayton Edmonds that's now up into the lead of this one. Ethan Sparks down into 2nd, in fact falling into the clutches of Blake Wilson in 3rd position. So this might open the door, if Ethan has to start paying attention to what's going on behind him, to Ronnie Harris closing in, because Ronnie knows that he needs to take points off of Ethan Sparks. However, brilliant start from Clayton Edmonds, from 7th on the grid to the lead in just 3 laps.
Yeah, brilliant start from Clayton Edmonds. Exactly the start to the race he will have wanted. 0.6 of a second is the gap he has over Ethan Sparks, and it was last time across the line. I believe we have Isaiah Devine, who's gone down in the number 90 machine at turn 2, and there he is on our screens. That's Isaiah Devine down and out of this race, gets back on and looks to rejoin in this race, but looking back at Ronnie Harris battling out with Harrison McKay. That's the battle for 4th and 5th. A little bit of a gap between Blake Wilson in 3rd and Ronnie Harris, so looking like it's going to be a tall order for Ronnie Harris to finish on the podium in this one. We're going to have to wait and see how that one goes out. Also a battle brewing really nicely between the number 20 of Casey Sperry, Philip Soroviak and Sam Munson. That's the battle for 7th place going on, but now Blake Wilson right on the rear wheel of the number 62 of Ethan Sparks, and you can see now this provisional live championship is Ethan Sparks on 421 points ahead of Ronnie Harris, and that will be enough to win him the championship if it stays like this.
Yep, and it is a big result for Ethan Sparks. If so, he needs to just stay ahead of Ronnie Harris. You can see Ronnie Harris now falling behind Harrison McKay into 5th position, so worst case scenario if you are the 66. And you spoke to him on Friday, and he said that he felt like he lost the championship back at Wilton Mill when he went down and non-scored in race 2, and unfortunately it looks as though he just hasn't been able to pick up those results he needed to close in on Ethan Sparks. But that's not taking anything away from Ethan, who once again, like we've seen in the AC40 Pros, has had a sublime season. However, it's Clayton Edmonds leading this one that is really enjoying these greasy conditions.
Yeah, but he's not running away with this one. Ethan Sparks set the fastest lap of the race on that last lap with a 55.2, and that was considerably quicker than Clayton Edmonds on that last lap. So now Ethan is responding and is getting back onto the rear wheel of Clayton Edmonds, but also Blake Wilson is going with them as well, so this is turning into a 3-rider battle for the win, but a little bit of a gap they have to Blake Wilson at the moment, so he's going to have to try and get onto the back of these guys, but it's between these two at the moment. They're just coming round to lap Isaiah Devine, who unfortunately went down at turn 2 earlier on in this race, so they're going to have to find their way through nice and cleanly. There's Harrison McKay and the number 66 of Ronnie Harris, second place man in the championship, and he's just watching that championship slip away as Ethan Sparks is at the front of this race with the number 146 Clayton Edmonds, and that's the number 90 of Isaiah Devine that's gone down again, so that's 2 crashes in the space of a lap, so not what Isaiah Devine would have wanted at all. Really unfortunate for the number 90 rider, but back at the front it's number 146 Clayton Edmonds still leading this one ahead of Ethan Sparks, your championship leader.
Yep, it's an unfortunate fall for Devine, but it has still kept the track is still green, which means it's still Clayton Edmonds versus Ethan Sparks for the lead of this one. Ronnie Harris, who was needing to finish ahead of Ethan Sparks, is back in 5th position behind Harrison McKay. Clayton Edmonds is doing a stellar job so far. Blake Wilson, we were talking before that he's had a brilliant end to the season, 4 podiums in the last 5 races for the 108 machine, and once again in at the moment a relatively comfortable 3rd position. Harrison McKay 3 seconds off of him, but Blake, a very good run so far from the young man.
Yeah, absolutely, so in a real strong 3rd position in this race. He is going to have to make sure that Harrison McKay doesn't get the better of him, because we saw how quick Harrison was yesterday in the GP70s in the wet, winning it by almost 8 seconds I believe it was, and now he's catching up to Blake Wilson as well.
As Clayton Edmonds still leading from Ethan Sparks. Blake Wilson in 3rd with Harrison McKay in 4th. Ronnie Harris dropping back into 5th position. Casey Sperry, brilliant run so far from Sperry, coming up from 11th from the grid into 6th position. But it is still that gap at the lead between Edmonds and Sparks. And it's well, you can see the live championship is currently 4-2-1 for Ethan Sparks, 3-6-4 for Ronnie Harris, which would confirm Ethan Sparks as your 2020 MKGP 50 champion, his 2nd championship of the day here, of this time on the metric at the GP 50 bike. The rain is starting to come down pretty heavily, so it's going to make this track a lot harder to navigate. Of course, the rain will be getting on the visors of these riders, and as they head around Senna into turn 2, Clayton Edmonds leads from Ronnie Harris. Blake Wilson is now being joined by the battle between Harrison McKay and Ronnie Harris. We've now got the top 5 all within eye shot of each other.
Yeah, absolutely so, and that's why we love the MKGP 50 class. Always great racing in this class, but it's Clayton Edmonds still leading ahead of Ethan Sparks. Ethan doesn't need to risk anything in this race. He doesn't need to go out and pick up 25 points, because he just needs to finish in front or even behind Ronnie Harris, and he'll have this championship in the bag. But Clayton Edmonds leading this one very well, defending his lines well. He's got a little bit of breathing space now ahead of Ethan Sparks, just stretching the field out a little bit. 55.9 on that last lap, which was just about half a second quicker than Ethan on that last lap. But we know how quick Ethan can be in these wet weather conditions. He did set the fastest lap of the race earlier on. He's looking to regroup that time as well. But there is the number 66 Ronnie Harris, 2nd place man in the championship, just watching his championship slip away with Ethan Sparks out the front in 2nd place. 48 points it was going into this one. He only needs 25 points going into race 3, but it is the number 62 of Ethan Sparks following the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds at the moment in this one. Still 3 laps to go in this race, so who's it going to be? Who's going to take the first win of the day for the MKGP 50s? It was Ethan Sparks from Clayton Edmonds yesterday, but will Clayton be able to take that one away from him in this one?
Yep, Clayton's looking for his 2nd win on the season. Not since Wilton Mill have we seen the 146 step on the top step of the podium. This time around he's looking as though he's got a good chance at it. He's got to finish ahead of what looks to be your coming into being a champion in the MKGP 50s, and that is Ethan Sparks. And Sparks is still staying with Edmonds. It's getting close. However, Clayton just seems to have an answer for Ethan Sparks every time around. They come on to the penultimate lap of their 2nd race of the weekend. One more to go later on this afternoon, and it's going to be Clayton Edmonds from Ethan Sparks. Blake Wilson still in a solid 3rd position. He's got Harrison McKay and Ronnie Harris behind him as they all come around to start there. Well, halfway through the penultimate lap, Sam Munson is back in 8th position in a battle between himself, Philip Soroviak, Ollie Sims is in there as well, and Ollie running in the top 10 once again, which is good for Ollie because he's moved up from 12th into 10th, and they're closing in on Ollie Horner, who's not really had the best of races on the number 70 machine, and in fact he gets past the lap traffic of Isaiah Devine, and now onto the back of Casey Sperry. Casey, who's having a very good run all the way up from 11th into 6th, and yeah, disappointment for Ollie Horner. He was looking very strong in qualifying. Yeah,
absolutely. So Ollie Horner just struggling in these wet weather conditions. A rider we're used to seeing at the front, battling for podiums and even wins. Still hasn't been able to pick up any wins this season, but has managed to get himself up onto the podium. But a man that has been able to pick up wins is the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds, and looking strong to pick up his second win of the season in this race 2 for the MKGP 50s. And just half a lap to go for Ethan Sparks for him to be crowned the 2020 MKGP 50 champion. But it's Clayton Edmonds looking strong to take the win in this one as they go on to head onto the back straight for the final time. The number 146 of Clayton Edmonds, his family was saying yesterday that he has webbed feet, and he's proven it in this one because he's been flying in these wet weather conditions. Through the final corner for the final time comes Clayton Edmonds. He is your race 2 winner here for the MKGP 50s, but it is Ethan Sparks who is your 2020 MKGP 50 champion. 2 championships in one day for the number 62 of Ethan Sparks, and he looks delighted with that one. Brilliant weekend for the number 62 of Ethan Sparks, and a well-deserved championship victory.
Ethan Sparks was standing up coming across the line, and what a result, what a championship for him. That's 2 championships in one day. He's done it on the mini motos, he's now done it on the MKGP 50 bike, and Ethan Sparks, what a ride from the young man from Maidstone. He has deserved that one, did exactly what was needed, didn't manage to pick up the win like we saw yesterday. However, this time around, his second place is enough to wrap up a brilliant championship. Well done, Ethan Sparks. You are the 2020 MKGP 50 champion. However, and we have to go back, what a result. Clayton Edmonds, we saw him stop at the exit of turn 1. His dad came running over, and he was delighted with that. Brilliant run. Clayton Edmonds from 7th into the win. So what a result from Clayton. However, that's the man of the moment. It's Ethan Sparks, your champion for 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. So both riders looked absolutely delighted after that one. Of course, Clayton Edmonds picking up his second win of the season. Both wins being in the wet, and a brilliant victory from the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds. But it is Ethan Sparks who is your 2020 MKGP 50 champion. That is 2 championships in 1 year for Ethan Sparks. So watch this name as he will be moving up through the ranks in years to come. He's got his sights set on the British Talent Cup, and he'll be moving up into the MKGP 70s next year, and that's going to be really exciting for us to watch.
Yeah, I'm sure that his parents will be having to reinforce that shelf of all his trophies on the wall in his bedroom, because that is getting mighty full at the moment with AC40 Pros and MKGP 50 trophies and medals, and he, I'm sure, will be winning many more. And equally, congratulations goes out to Clayton Edmonds, your race winner in the MKGP 50s, his second win on the season, and a well-deserved one. He's been very strong in these very slippery conditions all weekend long. And of course, Blake Wilson on the podium, another podium for Blake Wilson. That makes it 5 out of 6 races for Blake. Next up, well, championship has already been decided. It's Bernie Hook, last season's champion. Well, he's this season's champion. He just about manages to hold off Matt Burkin. Just the time ran out for Matt Burkin. He missed 2 rounds, and that may be the crucial moment for Matt Burkin. However, that's not saying that we're not going to see Matt Burkin have a brilliant race today, because we've seen that he tends to like these greasy conditions, whereas Bernie, who was talking to me on Friday, said, no, I would like it dry. I don't like the wet at all. So, but Bernie, well-deserved champion, just did what he needed to do all throughout the season to pick up some consistent points, and he takes that championship.
Yeah, incredible consistency from Bernie Hook, always finishing around about in the top 5 and up onto the podium, picking up a few wins this year as well, and well-deserved championship victory for for Bernie Hook. He's been helped by the fact that some of his championship rivals haven't been at all of the rounds. Riders such as Matt Burkin, Will Howarth as well, who's we saw at the beginning of the season but hasn't really been around too much in this senior mini moto category. But Bernie Hook, the number 0 machine, is your well-deserved champion. But a new name for this season anyway. We've seen him in the past, but the first time we're seeing him this season is the poleman, the number 126 of Richard Holmes-Williams. We saw him was really quick yesterday, but unfortunately didn't finish the race.
No, and unfortunately we dropped the commentator's curse saying how well he'd done, and the fact that everyone had stayed on 2 wheels, and then the next shot unfortunately was him walking to the side of the circuit. So he'll be starting on the front row of the grid in pole position. So it will be Richard Holmes-Williams in first position and pole position for this one. Josh Burkin in second, with Matt Burkin back in third position, who of course took the race win yesterday, making it a Burkin 1-2 ahead of Josh. Bernie Hook is supposed to line up in fourth position with Andy Whedon, who's currently third in the championship, back in fifth position, with Holly Harris, who's just a point behind Andy, in sixth. Nick Bennett in seventh with Paul Bayliss eighth, and then Paul Nichols ninth, with row 5 being locked out with himself and Ashley Thompson. Now, Josh Burkin, Matt Burkin, they have brought us some superb entertainment so far this season. Whether it be on 2 wheels, whether it be sliding on the surface on their backside, it's been brilliant fun for them. They both spoke to us on Friday, and they said that they enjoy this. It's all about coming here and just having a lot of fun. And equally, Bernie said, if you want to get involved in racing and in bike racing, then get yourself a bike and get involved, because we want to see more senior mini motos on the grid. And Bernie, very much the trailblazer for the senior mini motos, and doing a brilliant job of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, brilliant stuff this year from Bernie Hook. 4th place on this grid. But you just see there Richard Holmes-Williams trying to get the heat into the rear tyre there of that mini moto. Not sure there's going to be much heat getting into these tyres around this wet, slippery surface. But there he is. Then they look to the lights and they're away for the first time today. And it's a brilliant start from the number 126 of Richard Holmes-Williams. And I believe that is Matt Burkin up into 2nd place. But Bernie Hook out there on the number 7 machine. We're used to seeing him usually running the number 0. Yeah,
but he decided to borrow someone else's bike and see if he can do it on that one as well. He's currently in 4th position. However, it is Richard Holmes-Williams from Matt Burkin, from Josh Burkin, then Bernie Hook in 4th. They've already made a slight breakaway of the top 4 down the back straight. Can Matt Burkin look to the inside of Holmes-Williams in towards the S's section? Not quite close enough. The door is very much being hugged, and the apex line for Richard Holmes-Williams, who was looking very, very strong until that bike issue late on cost him the race win that I'm sure he would have thought he was nailed on for, because Matt Burkin just didn't quite have an answer for him yesterday, but managed to come through and pick up that win. Around the outside, Josh Burkin gets a really good run on exit as they go elbow to elbow into turn 1. Of course, the Burkin brothers, neither one of them want to help each other out. They're all about beating each other.
Absolutely so, but now Matt Burkin into the lead of this race, just dips underneath the number 126 of Richard Holmes-Williams. You can see Richard just wheeling onto the home straight, enjoying his racing out there in this senior mini motor category. But still 8 laps to go in this one, so you don't want to be celebrating too early, especially after his misfortune yesterday. But right on the rear wheel of Matt Burkin. Bernie Hook also in there, normally number 0, but running on the number 7 machine in this race. But it is Matt Burkin, the number 5, who leads from the number 126 of Richard Holmes-Williams. Josh Burkin in 4th, Josh Burkin in 3rd rather, on the number 4, now in 2nd on the number 4, and Bernie Hook goes ahead of Matt Burkin as well. So that's Richard Holmes-Williams up into the lead, Josh Burkin up into 2nd, Bernie Hook up into 3rd, and Matt Burkin down into 4th.
Don't worry, I'm expecting to see these change pretty much every lap, as Josh Burkin's going to look to go around the outside and turning it to the inside and taking the lead in this one. Matt Burkin then takes the inside of Bernie Hook, so they're going to keep swapping positions. This is what you see in senior mini moto action, and like I said earlier, if you want to get involved, this is the right place to do it. There's an issue for what was race leader Josh Burkin as he tries to get the bike restarted. Unfortunately for him, that's another problem for Josh Burkin. He was running really well in this one. He took a 2nd place finish yesterday, but not what he wanted at all. And I'm sure Matt's going to be smiling underneath that lid to see his brother just pulling off to the side of the circuit. He's now got Bernie Hook behind him, and Richard Holmes-Williams, who has disappeared. Oh, as you can see, Bernie Hook trying to look to the inside of Matt Burkin. They get on very well off the racetrack. Let's see how well they get on it when it comes to being elbows out side by side for the race win.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was really looking forward to having a 4-rider battle at the front of this race, but we've lost 2 in 1 lap. But these two going hammer and tonks at it at the moment between Matt Burkin and Bernie Hook. But it is still just 2 riders at the front of this race. Matt Burkin and Bernie Hook battling it out here for the race 2 victory in the senior mini motos. Of course, Bernie Hook already your champion. Josh Burkin manages to get restarted back into the race, but he's a lap down on these guys. Is he going to try and catch them and knock Matt Burkin off like he said he was going to do?
Yeah, as I just saw Richard Holmes-Williams pulling into the pit lanes. Unfortunately, what the one of the riders who was involved in this battle, unfortunately, looks as though he may be out of this one. Really unfortunate, both Josh Burkin and Richard Holmes-Williams. That's the second consecutive race where we've seen the pole sitter have an issue with that bike. However, it's going to leave us with Matt Burkin versus Bernie Hook, and this is a battle we're looking forward to. We're looking forward to seeing this one for a while. Bernie says he doesn't like being out there, and down goes Burkin. Down goes Hook at the final corner. I just saw he just got onto the runoff area, onto the curbs, and it just unsettled the bike. And just lucky enough for him, it's still running. He doesn't have to restart it back in the race. But yeah, a little bit of a mistake there from your current champion, Bernie Hook.
Yeah, absolutely. So just lost the rear end on the exit of that corner. Not what he would have wanted at all, but now back up into this race. So now it is Matt Burkin who's all alone out the front, has a quick look behind him, and I believe Josh Burkin has gone down again, but Matt Burkin is leading this one, and he is who we are watching at the moment, the number 5 of Matt Burkin at the front of this one. You can see there Josh Burkin rejoining and getting back into this race. So a disaster race for Josh Burkin, but Matt almost looking bored out the front of this one now.
Yeah, this is I spoke to Josh and he said, well, if I'm not falling, it's not any fun. So he's obviously decided this time around he's just going to go for it and see what happens. Unfortunately, the tyres not holding on to the adhesion that he wants to. However, his brother Matt Burkin leading this one. He's the only rider to not have an issue so far, and we will see if he can make his way around the final 3.5 laps of this one. Got himself some new leathers halfway through the season, and they've barely been scratched up because he's managed to keep it on 2 wheels. He's been picking up and racking up some serious victories in the last few races. He only really was on for a double hat-trick last time out in Rara. However, last lap gave up the win to his brother Josh on the last lap, and that is the only reason why we've not seen him take what would be 8 wins in a row, which is a stunning end. And you've got to think, if he comes back and manages to do the full season in 2021, Matt Burkin is well on for a championship challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. So with next season, the dates should be a bit more spread out than they were this season. So hopefully we'll see more attendances at the senior mini moto races, with the circuits getting a little bit easier to get to. But it is Bernie Hook now who has rejoined on that number 7 machine. He's on track with Josh Burkin, but I'm not sure if Josh is just a lap down on Bernie Hook at the moment. So these two together on track, but Bernie Hook is your 2020 senior mini moto champion, and what a deserved championship it has been for Bernie Hook. He's been helped a little bit by the fact that the likes of Matt Burkin, Will Howarth haven't been around at all of the rounds, but he's done exactly what he needed to do, always finished in the top positions, and that's what's brought him a second championship here in the senior mini moto class.
Yep, reigning, defending, undisputed champion of the senior mini motos, Bernie Hook, who should be on the 0, but he's on the 7 bike today. But yeah, a brilliant season for him, and he's currently in 2nd position. Holly Harris, we've not mentioned her, she's on for another podium. She's back in 3rd position, comfortably off of the pace of Bernie Hook, and maybe not the circuit for Holly. We've seen her do very nicely indeed back at some of the earlier circuits, but maybe Red Lodge not working for her. Bernie Hook has now got Josh Burkin, who is a lap down, who is swarming all over the back of him. Probably not what Bernie wants at all, but Josh just wants a fight with someone. Now he can't do it with Matt, who is making his way around the penultimate lap of this one, just coming up to some lap traffic ahead of Ashley Thompson. And yeah, but Matt, brilliant race from him once again. Very, very stellar ride. Very calm, collected. He's going to go to the inside, and luckily you can see Ashley just has a quick glance behind, sees that the race leader's come through and gives him a wide berth. Matt Burkin just has to keep it on 2 wheels for about a lap and a half more, and he'll be picking up another win on this very, very good season. It's a shame we didn't manage to see him earlier on at round 5 and round 3, because as unfortunately that's Josh Burkin again off to the side of the circuit. It's really not been his day. Josh Burkin waking up on the wrong side of bed this Sunday morning. However, Matt will be circulating this final lap, looking at picking up another win on the season. He's looking for his 8th win to go with plenty more that he picked up earlier on, and he has a quick glance behind and just notices he's completely alone at the moment.
Yeah, it's not what he would have wanted at all, but I'm sure he'll be happy to pick up 25 points in this senior mini-moto race. It goes past his brother there. You can see Josh Burkin at the side of the circuit. It was a 4-way battle for the lead, but one by one they all dropped out of this race. Some of them rejoining, but unfortunately Richard Holmes-Williams forced to come into the pit. But here he is then. The number 5 of Matt Burkin comes around the final corner for the final time. It is going to be Matt Burkin that is going to take the race 2 victory here for the senior mini motos. He comes across and takes the checkered flag. It is Matt Burkin who wins race 2 here at Red Lodge.
Brilliant result for him. Ashley Thompson comes across the line, a lap down in 4th position. It's going to be across the line. Bernie Hook, your 2020 Senior Mini-Moto champion. He takes the checkered flag and already confirmed as champion coming into this weekend. Well, he's picked up a 2nd place finish, another podium for him. That's a 9th podium on the season for Bernie Hook. Matt Burkin, of course, came across the line first. Holly Harris comes across the line and she picks up another podium on the season and gets back up ahead of Andy Whedon in the championship, in the battle for 3rd in that fight between herself and Whedon and Josh Burkin. So advantage goes to Holly Harris for 3rd. However, it's Bernie Hook, your 2020 Senior Mini-Moto champion. He said to us yesterday that if you want to get involved, get a bike, get on the grid. He is the man to beat. Can you do it? Come and join us by going to FAB-Racing.co.uk and find out more and get in touch with us. It'd be great to see you on the grid 2021. However, Bernie Hook, very much your champion, 2-time champion now in that senior mini-moto class.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff from the number 0 of Bernie Hook. And exactly like you said, if you want to get involved, come and join us here at Fab Racing. And maybe something we should have a little go at, Gareth. Me and you having to go on mini motos.
Yeah, we've been discussing that, and I'd like to get half and half and just go one race you, one race me. Why not? Let's have a go. But welcome everyone. If you've just joined us or if you've been watching all morning long, my name is Gareth Hall, joined as always by Tristan Finocchiaro. We're bringing you final round of the Fab Racing Mini Bike British Championships here from Red Lodge, just outside of Newmarket, the famous racing town. But it's going to be it's a few more races this weekend, and we've got the LC40 Elite class out on circuit next, and this is a championship that can still be won this weekend. It's going to be Ryan Hitchcock and Charlie Huntingford. Charlie Huntingford leading with a 24-point advantage after Ryan Hitchcock took the race win yesterday. It's still there to be taken, but Ryan Hitchcock needs Charlie Huntingford to drop some points.
Yeah, Ryan Hitchcock on pole position for this one. Of course, British Talent Cup rider as well, with the googly eyes on the front of that bike. But it's all about that battle for the championship between those two, Charlie Huntingford and Ryan Hitchcock, battling it out at the top of this championship. So next to each other on the grid and next to each other in the championship. Of course, Charlie Huntingford, your championship leader rather, who is 2nd place on this grid on the blue number 76 machine. But there is Ryan Hitchcock. He's come through these ranks before and he's back here in the LC40 Elites, of course, British Talent Cup rider, and just showing these other riders how to ride these mini motos, but not quite able to get one on Charlie Huntingford.
Yeah, he was just standing up there, just stretching out like that. I think he had his eyes closed and he was visualising the circuit like you would if you were doing the luge or the bobsleigh. But the 43, Ryan Hitchcock, leads on from pole position from the 76 of Charlie Huntingford. Charlie with that 24-point advantage in the championship. Archie O'Brien, the 91, in 3rd, with Archie Gibbs on the 3 in 4th. Josh Bannister in 5th alongside Sam Munson in 6th, with Marco Holt and Josh Williams locking out row 4 in 7th and 8th position. Casey Sperry and Luke Fitchett round out your top 10 in row 5, with Thorley Trevorrow and Harrison Day in 12th position. Bailey Lawrence had a brilliant run yesterday, came home in 5th position. She lines up in 13th, with Byron Johnson in 14th, Austin Johnson, his brother, in 15th position. Now, the LC40 Elite class, it's very much looking as though Charlie just needs to stay with Ryan. He can afford to perhaps finish in second position if Ryan picks up the win, but he can't drop too many points, because you can think Ryan Hitchcock, very experienced rider, he's going to want to close in and take that championship.
Yeah, absolutely. So 24 points is between them. So Charlie Huntingford is going to need to finish in front of Ryan Hitchcock if he is to win it in this race. If not, it will go down to the final race later on today. There is the live championship then. 344 points for Huntingford, 320 for Hitchcock, 24 points in it, 25 for a race win, and that is significant, because if Charlie Huntingford can win this race, he will win the championship if he is to finish ahead of Ryan Hitchcock. But they will now look to the lights for their second race of the day here for the LC40 Elites. Will it be one in this one, or will we wait for race 3? The lights go on for race 2, they're out, and it's a good start there from Ryan Hitchcock, who sweeps across the outside there. But it is Archie O'Brien now up into second, Archie Gibbs up into third, Sam Munson trying to go around the outside of Charlie Hunter and Archie O'Brien, and makes it stick. What a move there from the number 72 of Sam Munson, round the outside of two of them into turn 2. Brilliant move there from Sam Munson, now up into third place. It's currently in second, but it is Ryan Hitchcock who is out the front of this one and pulling away.
Wow, what a move there from Sam Munson around the outside of turn 1 and turn 2 into third position. Let's see if he can keep that pace going, but it is Ryan Hitchcock that leads away. Archie Gibbs in second position, Sam Munson in third, Archie O'Brien in fourth, Charlie Huntingford, disaster of a start, falling back from second all the way back into fifth and sixth, or fighting over sixth position at the moment. So not a great start for your championship leader, and with championship rival leading away, and already with a huge 3.4 second advantage coming through the first lap, as the battle is going to go on as Charlie's closed back up to Archie Gibbs, who's dropped behind Archie O'Brien. So a good start from Archie O'Brien, gets past the 3 machine of Archie Gibbs, but Charlie Huntingford, a lot of work to do for him if he's to reel in some of these points.
Yeah, absolutely. So if it's like this, he won't win the championship in this race, and it'll go down to race 3 later on today. So he needs to be finishing as high up as he can. He blasts past the number 3 of Archie Gibbs, of course. Archie on an air-cooled bike, Charlie on the liquid cool, so Charlie will have a little bit more power than the number 3 of Archie Gibbs, and now looking to attack the number 91 of Archie O'Brien. Needs to be scoring as many points as possible so before it goes down to the wire in race 3 later on today. But Ryan Hitchcock looking determined to make it go down to race 3 later on. But Sam Munson flying in second place as well. He made that brilliant move at the beginning of the race, and now in a very comfortable second place in this race. Still 7 laps to go in this one though. Charlie Huntingford all over the rear wheel of the number 91 of Archie O'Brien. Charlie Huntingford has a little look to the inside, can't quite make a move stick there, but just studying the number 91 of Archie O'Brien at the moment, just seeing where he can make a move through. But the number 20 of Casey Sperry's flying through the field. He's back, he's right onto the back wheel of these guys now, so watch out for the number 20 of Casey Sperry. If Charlie Huntingford isn't quick and he doesn't get past the number 91 of Archie O'Brien, he'll soon have the number 20 of Casey Sperry all over him.
Yeah, Casey Sperry, who's moved up from 9th on the grid into 5th. A really good run so far for the 20 bike, and he's currently trying to hound the back of Charlie Huntingford, championship leader, and Archie O'Brien. However, Archie Gibbs is still trying to go with them, but it is Ryan Hitchcock that is just disappearing off into the distance. Sam Munson is trying to stay with him. It's 3.5 seconds. Sam Munson, who's looking as that's Huntingford and Archie O'Brien down. Championship leader Charlie Huntingford coming into contact with Archie O'Brien, going down at the final corner. Disaster for Huntingford, losing more points in the championship as Archie O'Brien gets to the side of the circuit, can't get that bike restarted. Not what Charlie wanted at all, and not what Archie wanted.
Yeah, I wonder if something happened between those two, because they were both at the side of the circuit together, but that's not what your championship leader will have wanted at all. But he's now rejoins and gets back into this race. He rejoined the race in 10th place, and with Ryan Hitchcock leading this race, this will really be hotting up as they go into race 3 later on. Only 24 points in it, so it's going to be whoever wins it into the third race that is going to take this championship. Ryan Hitchcock out the front of this one and flying at the front of this race for race 2. Charlie Huntingford now is going to have to try and recover as many positions as he can. He's not too far from some of the riders in front of him, so he's going to have to try and recover and make those moves up, make those and get those. There's still 5 laps to go in this one, so there's plenty of time for him to try and recover as much as he can. But that is disaster for the number 76 of Charlie Huntingford. Like we said, anything can happen in racing, and it has here today in race 2 for the LC40 Elites. But Sam Munson really putting a charge on here to try and catch the number 43 of Ryan Hitchcock, and that's Huntingford down again. Your championship leader looks distraught with that one. He's trying to get the bike back into this race, so that's 2 crashes in 1 lap for Charlie Huntingford, your championship leader, and with Ryan Hitchcock leading the race, this is a disaster for him.
Oh, what are we seeing in the LC40 Elite class? Down goes Huntingford for a second time in this one. Ryan Hitchcock leading the race, but with Sam Munson starting to put the pressure on. Sam, who started in 6th position, is now starting to close in on the 43 of Ryan Hitchcock. Ryan Hitchcock looking for a 7th win on an 8th win on the season, but Sam Munson, who's not been to the podium since round 4 at Wilton Mill, he'll be looking at picking up another good result and getting back up there, maybe even a race win. We've got a rider down at the exit of turn 1. That's the 37 of Byron Johnson. Unfortunately for Byron, just can't get that bike restarted. He was running in a 5-bike battle all the way from Marco Holt in 5th position down to Luke Fitchett and Austin Johnson in 9th and 10th. But Charlie Huntingford now down to 12th position and 12 seconds off the back of Bailey Lawrence in 11th. This is a disaster for your championship leader.
Not what he will have wanted at all. He's going to be picking up points anyway in 12th position, but with Ryan Hitchcock leading the race, this is not what he will have wanted at all. But Sam Munson now is right on the rear wheel of Ryan Hitchcock, and he tries to go around the outside, and he does. He makes that brilliant move stick that we saw him do earlier on in the race, and now Sam Munson into the lead of this race. Hasn't had a win this year, has the number 72 of Sam Munson, and now he's got one on the number 43 of Ryan Hitchcock. But Ryan Hitchcock tries to get the drive on Munson as they go through there. Can't quite make it stick at the moment. Still 3 laps to go in this one, so who's it going to be between these two? And this, of course, means that Charlie Huntingford is definitely going to be supporting the number 72 of Sam Munson in this one.
Oh, it's getting ever so close in this one. You can see just 8 points in it in the provisional live championship. Charlie Huntingford with 3.48, Ryan Hitchcock with 3.40. It's going to get very, very close indeed if it continues like this. Ryan Hitchcock, who's just managed to get back ahead of Sam Munson on that last lap, back up into the lead as they come around to start the penultimate lap of the race. Casey Sperry is having an absolute flyer this morning, up from 9th into 3rd. The 20 very much enjoying himself, much better than what we saw yesterday from Casey. Charlie Huntingford, however, your championship leader coming into this morning, there was a 24-point advantage for Huntingford. However, that gap has been whittled down considerably, and with Ryan Hitchcock getting back up ahead of Sam Munson, it is absolutely disastrous for Charlie Huntingford.
Yeah, not what he will have wanted at all. Currently down in 11th position, so that'll only be 5 points for the number 76 of Charlie Huntingford, and Hitchcock is looking to be picking up as many as possible. You can see it there, 349 points for Huntingford, 345 it'll be for Ryan Hitchcock if it stays like this. These are provisional results at the moment, but of course it also depends on whether Hitchcock can get one on Sam Munson or not. But this is the final lap of the race, and Ryan Hitchcock had a 0.7 of a second advantage over Munson across the line last time around. Still looking at Charlie Huntingford, but it's all about that battle for the win out the front, and Sam Munson right on the rear wheel of Ryan Hitchcock now as they go on. Just half a lap to go for these guys. Ryan Hitchcock's going to be looking to take 25 points for his championship campaign. He's telling Sam Munson to stay behind him, but it is the last lap, Ryan. I don't think Sam Munson's going to want to be staying behind you on this one. Munson all over the rear wheel of Ryan Hitchcock now. Got a nice wide swooping line through there. He's going to be looking to get the drive onto the back straight. Can he get it? He tries all he can on this back straight. Just one more corner to go between these guys, but it's going to be Ryan Hitchcock coming through the final corner for the final time down to the flag, and it's going to be victory for Ryan Hitchcock, and that's really significant in his championship because Charlie Huntingford is down in 11th place in this race. Sam Munson, a brilliant second place from him, and some brilliant overtakes we saw, and Casey Sperry's going to come round to pick up a podium on the number 20 machine.
What a result for Casey Sperry. Archie Gibbs just didn't quite have enough on the line. Up to the line, it's going to be a drag race between Marco Holt and Josh Williams. It's Marco Holt on the line by 600ths of a second, picking up fifth position, with Thorley Trevorrow just beating him. So Thorley, Marco, Josh Williams, Luke Fitcher, Austin Johnson, Bailey Lawrence in 10th position, and we are still waiting. And across the line comes championship leader Charlie Huntingford, finishes in 11th and last position after 2 falls in this race 2 of the LC40 elite class. And Ryan Hitchcock, well, he was waving frantically to Sam Munson that last lap. Do not pass me, I'm fighting for the championship. Sam Munson thought, I do not care about that at all. I want the race win. But Ryan Hitchcock doing all he needed to do, and that was pick up a second win on the weekend, and he is your race winner ahead of Sam Munson in second. Casey Sperry, a brilliant race from him, the 20 from 9th of the grid into 3rd, with Archie Gibbs in 4th, Thorley Trevorrow in 5th position, with Marco Holt in 6th, Josh Williams and Luke Fitcher in 7th and 8th, with Austin Johnson and Bailey Lawrence in 9th and 10th position. Charlie Huntingford, your championship leader, now in 11th position and losing a heap of points coming into this one. Just 4 points in it going into the final race of the weekend. I cannot wait for that one.
Yeah, it's going to be whoever beats the other one is going to take that championship victory in race 3 later on today. So make sure you stay tuned for that one. It's going to be live on Facebook, on YouTube, on FAB-Racing and on Motorsport Radio. So make sure you stay tuned for that one to see who's going to win the LC40 Elite Championship. But now it is the Pit Bike 140s who are going to go out to do battle for their race 2 here at Red Lodge. It's going to be the first race of the day for them, and there you can see the number 1 of Jamie King, your 2020 Pit Bike 140 champion. Yep. Also 2019 champion. Yeah, 2-time champion for Jay King, and I'm sure there would have been celebrations in the tent over at the far side of the paddock last night as the unfortunate round 8 was cancelled. But I'm sure if you're Jamie King, he will be absolutely delighted, and the 76 has really done a good job this season to fend off the likes of Charlie Nesbitt, Rossi Banham, Taylor Lawrence, Eddie O'Shea, a plethora of very, very good riders, and he's picked up the points where needed, and he's got enough to sew up the championship overnight. With 2 more races, can he finish it off in style with a race win this weekend? He likes these greasy, wet conditions. What can he do on that 76? We will find out, as we're currently waiting for second place man Richard Holmes Williams, who's not managed to make it out to the grid, so he'll be having to start from the pit lane if he does manage to get out on circuit. However, the pit bikes, the 140s, there's a lot of them. It's very noisy, it's very loud, and it's a lot of fun. But it will be Rossi Banham on pole position, with Taylor Lawrence in 3rd position, with no Richard Holmes Williams in 2nd. Alfie Davidson in his debut on the Pit 140s in the 4th place spot, with Reece Stevenson in 5th, and Jamie King, champion of 2020, in 6th place. Bernie Herk in 7th, with Reese Peacock 8th, with Darren Anderson and Chris Wells in 9th and 10th position. Then you've got Eddie O'Shea back in 11th and Jack Andrews in 12th. Marco Pandolfo in 13th, with Paul Histon in 14th. Adam Sweeney and Nathan Riggy in 15th and 16th. Then Elliot Crosby and Callum Beach behind that. Giorgio Scalata and Harrison Crosby. And then we've got Kevin Gritton, Iden Katz, Scott Jewett, Frankie Carlton, Andy Davidson, Roger Monks, Aston Gilson, Paul Coombs, Jamie Malin, and Iona. That's the end of the grid. So yeah, it's a big grid. I'm trying to figure out where everyone is on circuits. It's always a mishmash here in the Pit Bike 140s, but it's a lot of fun as they come around to filter into position. There's a lot of standing water on the circuit now, Tristan. Is that going to hurt these riders that perhaps didn't see as wet conditions yesterday? Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of standing water out on this track, and it's not something that they will have seen so far this weekend. It's always been wet, but never quite been soaked as this for these guys as they look to the lights for this race 2. Rossi Banham is on pole position, and he gets a good getaway here down into turn 1. There's a big incident off of the line. That's a few riders down. That could be really dangerous for these guys. I think that's Reece Peacock in there, and a couple of other riders gone. I think that's Darren Anderson as well. It is the number 56 that's gone down in that battle, in that clash as well. So that was quite a scary moment there for those guys, but it's good to see them all up and okay as Reece Peacock, the number 29, gets restarted and back into this race.
Yeah, and it looks as though we've got Harrison Crosby off to the side side of the circuit as well. So Harrison with a problem with the bike. But not a great start for those riders, but great to see them back up on their feet and underway. But up in the lead of this one, it is still going to be Rossi Banham, who's had a really good start. Can he hold off the likes of Taylor Lawrence, Alfie Davidson and Jamie King, your 2020 Pit Bike 140 champion? Jamie goes well in these conditions, and in fact he's closing in, trying to push for the race lead. So Rossi Banham has got a lot of people behind him, desperately wanting to get past. Eddie O'Shea has already made his way up from 11th right onto the back of this four-way battle for the lead. You can see the 76 of Jamie King has put the number 1 on the front of his bike to celebrate the fact that he's won a second championship in the Pit Bike 140s.
Yeah, and what a deserved championship it has been. But look how menacing Eddie O'Shea is. You can see Harrison Crosby at the side of the circuit trying to get that bike restarted and back into the race. But look how menacing that Eddie O'Shea is in this one, right on the back wheel of Jamie King, and just has a look at the inside, has to sit it up there because no room through on the number 1 of Jamie King, your 2019 and 2020 Pit Bike 140 champion. But Rossi Banham is that still leads ahead of the number 10 of Taylor Lawrence. Jamie King in third, but Taylor Lawrence having a look up the inside of Rossi Banham. Can he make a move, stick into turn 1? He does. He pushes Rossi Banham wide, and that's Rossi Banham down from first into third into fourth in one foul swoop, and Eddie O'Shea now up into second place in this race. Brilliant stuff here from the front guys, elbow bashing, bar bashing, and we hope to see this for the rest of the race. Taylor Lawrence now is then that leads ahead of the number 8 Eddie O'Shea, your championship winner. Number 76 or the number 1 of Jamie King in third, and now Rossi Banham's just lost a little bit there, so perhaps just a little bit baffled by that.
Yeah, as Eddie makes his way up into the lead of this one, and all the way from 11th into first position in just a matter of laps. And I called him Eddie Overtakes yesterday because he just makes his way, and he makes it look effortless, and very much the ultimate opportunist is Eddie O'Shea. Past Taylor Lawrence, past Jamie King and past Rossi Banham. Rossi Banham probably thought, what just happened going into turn 1? Passed by 3 bikes. He's found himself from the lead of the race into 4th position. But Jamie King, your 2020 Pit Bike 140 champions, currently in a podium fighting with Rossi Banham for that 3rd position. He's going to want to close in on Taylor Lawrence. Of course, Taylor Lawrence, who went down in the early stages of yesterday's first race of the weekend and managed to come back through to 6th position. However, Jamie King stayed on 2 wheels and picked up another good result. And we've got a rider down there on the exit of turn 3. Once again, it's a corner that's catching out so many. That's Giorgio Scalata on the 87 that's been caught out at turn 3. Another bike that has fallen foul of a very tricky corner, it's seeming. But you can see Jamie having a quick glance behind, trying to work out where Rossi is. Rossi, who's ended the season much better than what he started with, where he was a little bit stop-start. However, he's pushing himself towards the top end of the standings now. But Eddie O'Shea at the front is breaking away. He's already got himself a 1.8 second advantage over Taylor Lawrence in second, and then Jamie King 2.7 back from them.
Yeah, and looking further back at Marco Pandolfo battling out with Elliot Crosby in there, and also the number 555 of Paul Histon, also Adam Sweeney in 8th. So this is the battle for 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th. Going on here is Marco Pandolfo and the number 555 of Paul Histon get really close going into turn 2. Brilliant stuff from these guys. So battles all through this Pit Bike 140 class, and we're so used to seeing that as Marco Pandolfo tries to go around the outside of Paul Histon. Can't quite make a move stick there, but now Elliot Crosby is in there as well and trying to make a move stick on the number 11, on number 21 rather, of Marco Pandolfo. You can see there with the Italian flag on the in that number 21 he has on the front of that Pit Bike 140. A rider from Catania, which is also where my family are from. Yeah, and picked up his best result of the season back at Ella Park, where he finished in 4th position, which is good to see because Marco was beset with so many technical incidents and problems with the bike earlier on in this season. So he's getting back on the pace as Marco Pandolfo and fighting in the top 10, which is where we like to see him. But up at the front of this one, it's still Eddie O'Shea leading from Taylor Lawrence. Rossi Banham now has passed Jamie King for 3rd position. So your championship winner for 2020, Jamie King, has dropped out of the podium contention. Rossi Banham moving up, and we'll see if Rossi can close in on Taylor Lawrence. But Eddie O'Shea last time around going considerably faster than anyone else, a second faster than anyone else on circuit. So Eddie looking very, very, very
strong. And in fact, he's starting to put some lap traffic in between himself and the fighting pack behind. So this is the perfect scenario for Eddie, looking at picking up another win in this pit bike 140 class.
Yeah, we've seen, and that's Elliot Crosby at the side of the circuit. So disaster for Elliot, of course, brother of Harrison Crosby, who we also see in these races. Tries to get that bike restarted, a little wheelie as he gets that bike restarted, does get back into this race. So not what Elliot Crosby would have wanted at all, but we've seen time and time again how the number 8 of Eddie O'Shea is just so good at carving through riders, carving through traffic. We've seen he comes up from the back of the grid, comes up to win races, and when he gets up to this lap traffic, he's just able to get through it faster than anyone else, and that is why he has a 2.6 second lead over Taylor Lawrence in second place. Rossi Banham, though, not far from Taylor Lawrence at all, so that battle for second place could be hotting up really nicely. So that's Lawrence in second and Banham in third in this one. Your 2020 champion Jamie King in fourth in this one, and just as Eddie O'Shea makes his way underneath Elliot Crosby there, so Eddie O'Shea out the front in this one, now has a 3.2 second lead over Rossi Banham, who is third in this one, and he just looks so confident out there. He's just throwing the bike into these corners, plenty of lean angle, just scraping that knee along the floor, and you can just tell he's got so much confidence in that bike, and of course is a British Talent Cup rider, so you wouldn't expect any less as Taylor Lawrence just carves through the pack as well. There you can see Rossi Banham in the back of the shot, trying to close in on the number 10 of Taylor Lawrence, but with 3 laps to go, he's really going to have to put the afterburners on.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do because Eddie O'Shea has really started to pull away at the front of this one. Rossi Banham has got 1.5 second gap between himself and Taylor Lawrence. Taylor having a much better race today than he had yesterday, so we'll see if Taylor can hold on to this podium position. It was the first time he'd stepped on the podium back at Rao with his first win. It moved him to 4th in the title race, however that's now been stolen away by Eddie O'Shea, who's actually at the moment we're on a 100% win rate with every race that he's been involved with so far this weekend, both the Extreme 200s and the Pit Bike 140s. So he's going to make it 4 from 4 if he can make it around the final 2 laps. Of course, he's just got a little bit more to do. We've got a rider off to the side of the circuit. That's Reece Peacock on the 29. Once again, we can see a lot of these pit bikes struggling out there on these conditions, and Reece off to the side of the circuit manages to get the bike restarted and back underway. We've got a lap and a half left to go as Eddie O'Shea is about to start his final lap of race 2 of the Pit Bike 140s, in the lead by a comfortable margin to Taylor Lawrence, who rounds the final corner at Paddock Bend. Then you've got Rossi Banham, who has dropped Jamie King. Jamie King's decided to not be involved in this fight. He's now fighting off the likes of Jack Andrews and Reece Stevenson in 5th and 6th position. But Eddie O'Shea, what can you say about this young man? Brilliant riding in these tricky conditions.
Yeah, absolutely so. And you have to say what wins it for him in these races is just his ability to get through lap traffic, and with such a packed grid, 29 Pit Bike 140 riders out there, it's inevitable that he's going to come up to a bit of lap traffic, and he's had more than a bit of lapped traffic in this race too for the Pit Bike 140s, and he's just been so good at the front of this race, coming up from 11th on the grid and looking comfortable to take this victory. He signals to the side of the circuit as he comes through the final corner and comes up to take the checkered flag. It's going to be Eddie O'Shea that wins race 2 for the Pit Bike 140s. Brilliant win from 11th place on the grid for Eddie O'Shea. Taylor Lawrence is going to come around the final corner and pick up 2nd place, and it's going to be Rossi Banham, Junior Supersport rider, who picks up 3rd. Jamie King, your 2020 champion, in 4th.
Brilliant result for Jamie King. Manages to, although he didn't finish on the podium, here's your 2020 PB 140 champion once again. Brilliant. Well done to you, Jamie King. There's a reason why you've put the number 1 on that bike, and you are the champion once again here in 2020. And he held off the fight from Charlie Nesbitt, from Rossi Banham, Taylor Lawrence, Eddie O'Shea, and the entire paddock here at in the pit bikes. But he's done a brilliant job so far this season to be picking up consistent podiums, consistent wins, and he's of course picked up 3 wins on the season. 1 back at Ella, his local track, which he said was very special. But Jamie, just visor up, just taking it in. You can see Rossi Banham trying to get a shoulder down there on the exit of turn 9 as they go into the S's section towards the end of the lap. So Rossi celebrating another podium for him in the pit bikes.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Rossi Banham. Just trying to get his elbow down in the wet there. That would be really impressive if he managed to make that one work. But there he is then, 2020 Pit Bike 140 champion, and he's going to come round to do his celebration lap He's been at the front of this championship all of this year. Of course, last year's champion as well. He goes on to complete his celebration lap. He has had wins in the wet. He's had podiums. He's waving at the cameras. He looks happy with that one. The pit bike Sonic of Jamie King, taking his time around this celebration lap, and fair play to him because he's just enjoying and soaking in all of the glory here. He's taken the shortcut around here. He's doing the sidecar lap around here, but he waves to the fans, to all of the paddock here at Fab Racing, and he is your 2020 Pit Bike 140 champion, and such a deserved championship it was.
Yep, 3 wins, 11 podiums, and Jamie King is your 2020 Pit Bike 140 champion. Congratulations to the Blue Blur of the Fab Racing paddock, and a big member of the paddock here, does a lot for Fab Racing behind the scenes with social media as well, so it's great to see Jamie getting the reward from that. So yeah, congratulations goes out to Jamie King. Next up, well, it's another championship that can be decided, maybe not in this race, but maybe race 3. However, we will find out. It is going to be the Moto teams. They will be heading out on circuit very, very shortly, as we've got some of the marshals just putting down some more cement dust there, which is what we usually see after the end of a Pit Bike 140 race. But Moto teams coming up. Well, coming into this weekend, Jason Pugh had a 3-point advantage. After the end of race 1, Simon Clowes has a 1-point advantage. Simon Clowes moved up to 2.75. Jason Pugh not able to stay with Simon Clowes in second and first position. He drops to 2.74. So championship battle is going to heat up in race 2 and race 3.
Yeah, so for the only way Simon Clowes can win it in this one is if, of course, Jason Pugh doesn't finish this race and Simon Clowes wins this one. But if not, then it's going to go down to race 3 later on today. And it's a really exciting end to the championship for the Moto team, and brilliant to see them having their own race. Means we can completely focus on this championship between Simon Clowes and Jason Pugh, and there is 275 points for Simon Clowes, 274 for Jason Pugh. Doesn't get any closer than that at the top of this Moto Team Championship. Ian Jackson also not even that far away in third place there as well. But it is these guys who have just been dominant out the front, Simon Clowes and Jason Pugh. But Ian Jackson also picking up multiple points yesterday. But it will be Ian Jackson that lines up on pole position for this one, ahead of Simon Clowes in second place. Jason Pugh will line up in third spot on the grid, ahead of Alistair Kinnaird in fourth, Vince Bailey in fifth, Phil Mapplebeck, the number 19 rider, he'll line up in sixth place on the grid, ahead of Phil Joyce in seventh, with Iona Glover in 8th place on the grid, and rounding out your grid for the Moto team. Well, I'm looking forward to this one, Gareth, because everything is going to be thrown at this one. Only 1 point in it in the championship, so it's all about Jason Pugh and Simon Clowes, which one of them can beat the other one in these final 2 races.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this one. We asked for Moto team to have their own race. Well, we've been granted that wish by Roger Keys. He's said, go out there and have fun. And well, they had it yesterday. It was Ian Jackson versus Simon Clowes, who had a brilliant battle for the lead. But the championship contenders are very much the 8 of Jason Pugh on the baby blue. He will be lining up in third position, but it's the 133 of Simon Clowes, last season's champion, looking at making it a double. But watch out for Ian Jackson. He's taken 3 of the last 5 race wins here in the Moto team class, and had a brilliant fight with Simon yesterday for that race win. He managed to take it just ahead of the 133. Jason Pugh wasn't able to stick with them, but this time around, watch out for him, because I'm sure he knows he's lost the lead in the championship. He wants to regain it going into race 3. And then, of course, watch out for Kinnaird behind. We know that Alistair Kinnaird, he's been on the podium a couple of times so far this season. He can always push himself up. There's a lot of camaraderie in the Moto teams, but not when it goes to green, as they get ready to look to the lights and get ready for race 2 of the Moto team class. A good start there for pole sitter Jackson as he holds the inside going into turn 1. Simon Clowes is going to have to sweep around the outside, but he's just about held on to second position. Jason Pugh's had a good start. He's on into third behind. You can see it's Alistair Alistair Kinnaird that's dropped back into 5th position, but Ian Jackson, great start from the pole, holds off Simon Clowes. It's now a battle between Jason Pugh and Simon Clowes.
Yeah, a good start from both your front two. Jason Pugh just seeming to lose touch of the front two riders at the moment in this one. You see a little bit of breathing space that Simon Clowes has over Jason Pugh, quite a bit of breathing space that he has, and he's looking behind, and is that a technical problem from the number 8 of Jason Pugh? He's looking to come to the side of the circuit, so that is a problem for the number 8, your second place man in the championship, only 1 point behind Simon Clowes, and if he doesn't finish this one and Simon Clowes wins this race, that'll be Simon Clowes who is the champion, so this could be really significant. Yeah, arm up in the air for the number 8 of Jason Pugh. We're going to be robbed of a championship battle between these two. Comes into the pits, that is disaster for the number 8 of Jason Pugh, but Simon Clowes will be ecstatic at that one.
Oh, you've got to be gutted for Jason Pugh. He's been brilliant all season long, and just at the final moments it's been taken away from him. But Simon Clowes, as you say, just needs to, if he wins this one, he is confirmed as your 2020 Moto Team champion. He just needs to get back past Ian Jackson, but Ian Jackson wanting to pick up another win in what has been a very strong end to the season for Jackson on that 7 bike. But Simon Clowes behind, he's going to stay with him, and he was looking very racy indeed in the early stages of yesterday's race at race 1, and Simon will be wanting to wrap this one up as soon as possible and not allow Jason to come back at race 3. But you can see the provisional results. If the championship finished now, Simon Clowes has 295 points, Jason Pugh no scoring this one, back on 274. Ian Jackson, however, being able to move up perhaps even to 2nd position if he has a good result in race 3. But Jackson now starting to stretch a bit of a lead out over Simon Clowes.
Yeah, big moment going into turn 1 there for Simon Clowes, foot off the peg for the number 133, and that just allowed the number 7 of Ian Jackson to eke out a gap at the front here. So now Simon Clowes just needs to sort of regain his composure and get back onto the back wheel of the number 7 of Ian Jackson. Of course, if he wins this race, he does win the championship, but he doesn't need to do anything too rash in this one, because of course with Jason Pugh not in this one, it doesn't quite matter whether he finishes in 2nd or 1st, because he can take it to race 3 later on if he does finish in 2nd place. So for him, it's all about just picking up points and making sure he stays on that number 133 machine. Very hairy moment he had going into turn 1, but battles all through this field with the number 134 of Iona Glover battling out with the number 119 of Philip Joyce further back. That is the battle for 5th place in this race. 5th and 6th. 5th is Iona Glover and the number 134, just leading the number 119 of Philip Joyce at the moment. On the other side of the circuit, you could see the number 133 of Simon Clowes just trying to regain his composure at the front of this one. 59.1 it was on the last lap for Simon Clowes, with a 55.7 it was for Ian Jackson. So Ian Jackson flying at the front of this one, 3.8 second lead he has now over Simon Clowes.
Yeah, Simon perhaps taking a look behind and realising Jason Pugh isn't there anymore. As you can see, almost a change around the outside. Going to the inside was the 119 of Phil Joyce, trying to go around the outside of Iona Glover. There's still a battle going on for the podium between Alistair Kinnaird and Vince Bailey. Vince Bailey, who had a brilliant start from 5th into 3rd position, past Alistair Kinnaird, and Alistair not quite able to close back in on Vince Bailey, but Vince looking for another podium. He's picked up a couple so far this season. Alistair Kinnaird has made a couple of visits to the podium as well, so no strangers to some decent results here in Moto Team. But I do feel like we've been robbed somewhat of Jason Pugh just falling out of that race, and you've got to think Jason is going to be in the paddock now, just kicking that bike, just absolutely gutted that he might see that championship that he was looking very close to being able to take to race 3. That's the 134 of Iona Glover's bike just coming to a stop on the back end of the circuit, but Jason Pugh is going to be absolutely gutted with that. It does mean that Simon Clowes, if it finishes as it is, will take 20 points from this one and a 21 point lead going into race 3, where he can wrap up with just a few points.
Jason Pugh at this side of the circuit is going to be watching this one from the sidelines and hoping with everything he's got that Simon Clowes doesn't win this race, because of course if Simon Clowes does win, he will win the championship, but if he finishes in second, they are yet to battle it out in race 3. But this will give Simon Clowes a massive advantage as they go into race 3 later on. It'll be a 21-point advantage if it stays like this. But Simon Clowes currently in second in this race, 6.8 seconds behind Ian Jackson. Ian Jackson doing a brilliant job out the front to consistently put down laps quicker than anyone else, and with 5 laps to go in this race, he just needs to keep this pace going, just needs to keep nice and smooth, hit all his markers, and just make sure he gets to that checkered flag and picks up 25 points. Simon Clowes, this is all about the championship for him. If he can pick up 20 points in this one, he'll have a massive 21-point advantage going into race 3 later on today, and we will see who will win the Moto team later on in race 3. But it's currently Ian Jackson, the number 7, leading this one, just coming up to a little bit of lap traffic there. It's the 119 of Phil Joyce that he's just coming up to lap there. Gets through nice and cleanly. 7.1 seconds was the lead across the line last time for Ian Jackson, so flying out the front of this one.
Yep, very comfortable looking on that bike. There is just a foot down there. Oh, just got to be worried about that. There was a bit of a bike issue, but that would be curtains for the championship if that was the case. But Ian Jackson back underway, and he has got that 7.1 second advantage and just needs to keep going for the next 3.5 laps to get around this Red Lodge kart circuit. Once again, just a quick, is that just for balance, Tristan, as he goes around these faster corners?
I think he's just checking how slippery the circuit is. If he can feel how slippery it is with his foot, then he'll know how hard to push. But yeah, not sure, perhaps just a little supermoto style going on there from the number 7. Just having a look at his wrist, just saying, where is everyone? As he goes around this circuit. Well, they're about 7.2 seconds behind. He's waiting for this race to finish because he wants to pick up those 25 points. Well, he's got 2.5 laps to go before he can pick up 25 points in this Moto team race. Of course, they will have another race later on today, and that will decide the championship in race 3 later on today. So make sure you stay tuned and follow for that one. It'll be live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, and of course on Motorsport Radio. So make sure you keep tuned for that one, because that will be exciting indeed. Will it be Simon Clowes or will it be Jason Pugh? But here is the number 1 through 3 of Simon Clowes, just riding around, making sure he picks up points for his championship. All important 20 points for this Moto Team Championship with no Jason Pugh in this race. 295 points it is for Simon Clowes if it stays like this, and 270 for Jason Pugh. And Ian Jackson's closing in on Jason Pugh in the championship now, so Ian Jackson could even pick up second.
He could, and unfortunately for Ian Jackson, Simon Clowes I think will just be out of reach with the amount of race wins that Simon has in the class that he couldn't win on countback, because at the moment it's 25 points. So if Jason Pugh and Simon Clowes retired, potentially with a win, Ian Jackson would match the 295 for Simon Clowes, but might just miss out on countback due to race wins that Simon picked up earlier on in the season. But thank you very much for joining us here from Red Lodge. It's the final round of the season for the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championships. My name is Gareth Hall, joined as always in the commentary box by Tristan Finocchiaro. And of course, if you're watching at home, get in touch. Always great to hear from you and find out where you're watching from and who you're watching out for. Of course, if you're watching on all the socials, make sure you give us a like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff you do on the channels, and make sure you get in touch and let us know. It's always good to hear what you're getting up to on this Sunday afternoon from, well, over here from a very wet, cold and miserable circuit. No wonder Ian Jackson was having a look at his watch. He's probably out there on a very soggy bike at the moment, just wanting to get back into his warm camper van at the end of this one with another medal around his neck. As I believe Jason Pugh may have made his way back out on circuit, perhaps getting that bike restarted. And that will mean that he actually does pick up points in this one, which might help him if he manages to pick up some decent, well, at least a few points in this one. But Ian Jackson coming around the final few corners on this last lap in the Moto team class. And, well, he's led after getting to the front. He started on pole. He had Simon Clowes for company for a little bit. Simon's dropped off. It's 7.7 seconds, but it's going to be Ian Jackson to the line, to the flag, and takes the win in race 2. Makes it 2 out of 2 for Ian Jackson. Gives a quick fist up and punches the air to the camera. Across the line comes Simon Clowes. Has that result pretty much almost confirmed him as champion. We will find out when it comes to race 3. Jason Pugh has got back on the bike, but the bike looks as though it's not wanting to really go in a straight line, but Simon Clowes does take 295 points in this one. Jason Pugh, if he manages to come across the line, and he does, he manages to negate that points difference. He was about to lose a whole heap, but it's now only at 12 points as opposed to 21. So that is a big result there from Jason Pugh to be able to get that bike out and to will it over the line.
Well, I'm not 100% sure that he'll be awarded points for that one. Of course, he did finish in 7th place, but 8 laps behind anyone else, so I'm not sure, because of course he did take his bike back to the paddock and back out there, so we'll have to wait and see if he is awarded those points. But you definitely, if you were fighting for the championship, you'd go out and try it, wouldn't you? So he's gone out and to see if he can pick up 9 points in this one from finishing in 7th place in this race, 8 laps behind everyone else after that technical problem earlier on. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But coming up next is the Premier Class for all the junior riders, the MKGP 70 Championship. This is the final step for all of the Metrokit and junior riders before they move up into the British Talent Cup, over into the European Talent Cup, and over into BSB and further and beyond. So this battle for the championship is hotting up very nicely, with 19 points between Lucas Brown and Johnny Garnes, both going into the British Talent Cup next weekend, and only one of them is going to go as the 2020 GP70 champion.
And what a race we had yesterday. It was absolutely stunning. If you do get a chance, I do implore you to go back and watch it on, of course, on the social media channels for FAB-Racing and motorsport.radio, because yes, your championship leaders Lucas Brown and Johnny Garnes must have traded positions, traded paint around 1 or 2 times per lap. Harrison McKay, however, absolutely stormed to the front and just disappeared off into the distance, left the battling 57 and 29, and a frustrated Mason Foster and Clayton Edmonds felt like they could get past, but the battling between your championship leaders Johnny Garnes and Lucas Brown was so fierce that they couldn't find any room.
Yeah, absolutely. So right at the front of it, they were battling it out, and they were swapping positions, and it was just holding up the rest of the pack, but no one really wanted to make their way through. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the wet here. The championship could be won in this one if Lucas Brown is to score 7 more points than Johnny Garnes, and there it is. You can see the live championship there. It just gets updated, but yeah, he needs to score 7 more points. Brown needs to score 7 more points than Garnes in this one to be able to win it in race 2. Otherwise, it will go to race 3 later on today. And one name we cannot help but talk about is Harrison McKay, because yesterday he flew away at the front in the wet. But today it's going to be Johnny Garnes who is lining up on pole position on the number 57 machine. He's looking to pick up that MKGP 70 champion, but it's Mason Foster in 2nd place on the grid with the number 88. Championship leader Lucas Brown on number 29. He's in 3rd place on the grid, ahead of yesterday's race winner Harrison McKay in 4th. Alfie Davidson rounds out the top 5 on the grid with Josh Bannister on the number 2 in 6th. Holly Harris in 7th with Clayton Edmonds, the number 146, in 8th. Watch out for him, very fast in the wet indeed. Ted Wilkinson, a brilliant 9th spot on the grid for him after moving up from flat track. Greg Marshall in 10th. Jacob Severson on the number 67 in 11th place on the grid. The number 64 of Luke Schofield is 12th on the grid with the number 87 of Felix Dorling 13th on the grid, and rounding out your grid for this race,
the 29 of Lucas Brown, your championship leader, and the 57 of Johnny Garnes. Lucas Brown can win the championship in this race if he outscores Johnny Garnes by 7 championship points. So it is going to go right down to the wire. Watch out for Harrison McKay. Yesterday's race winner looked very, very strong indeed in these conditions. We know Mason Foster is very good in these wet conditions, and equally Clayton Edmonds is having a brilliant day, but they get ready to look to the lights. It's Garnes on pole, Mason Foster 2nd, lights on, lights off as they head down towards turn 1. It's a good start for Mason Foster. Can he get around the outside of Garnes? Lucas Brown straight up into 2nd position. Can he get up alongside Johnny Garnes? They're already side by side, but Lucas Brown takes 2nd position. Johnny Garnes not what he wanted to see at all. Championship leader taking second position, and Harrison McKay passes Garnes. This has been a disaster of a start for Johnny Garnes, from pole position to fourth position in 4 corners.
Yeah, that was a real aggressive move from the number 29 to get around the outside of Johnny Garnes. He really wants this championship, and that we really said it in that move there. But Clayton Edmonds all over the rear wheel of Johnny Garnes. Now as Garnes tries to go up the inside of Harrison McKay, Harrison McKay trying to make a move on the number 29 of Lucas Brown. It's all happening here on this first lap for the MKGP 70s, and that's McKay now up ahead of Lucas Brown. So now Johnny Garnes has a face full of Lucas Brown at the moment in this one. It's going to be about these two in the championship as Garnes goes up the inside of the number 29 of Lucas Brown. That's your battle for the championship live on circuit. But now Clayton Edmonds up the inside of both of them. Can't quite do it on the both, but now up into fourth place just ahead of Lucas Brown. They're battling it out away in this first lap of this race, and now we're going to have 11 more laps of this.
Oh, I believe that was Clayton Edmonds. What a move from the 146, sweeping around Johnny Garnes. I was going to say, Clayton very much licking the stamp and sending it like Johnny Garnes did, but is Garnes going to try and go down the inside? He is, as they go around towards the back end of the circuit and back up into third position. But Garnes, not what he wanted. He needs to be winning this one. He needs to break away from Clayton Edmonds and Lucas Brown. Lucas Brown is falling off the back of Clayton Edmonds, and Johnny Garnes sent it into turn 1. Lucas just got a little bit unsighted, had to go wide. It allowed Clayton up the inside, and he's lost 2 positions in 1 lap, and he's now got to reset and get back after Mason Foster, who's starting to pull away now, 2.1 seconds up the road from Harrison McKay, who's having another stellar ride in second position.
Yeah, perhaps Lucas Brown just thinking about the championship here, making sure he stays on in this race, doesn't want to take too many risks. Of course, he's in a much better position than Garnes as they go into race 3 later on with that 19-point lead going into this race. So he doesn't need to risk as much as Johnny does to get this championship victory. But Johnny now fending off the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds. Edmonds is going to be desperate to try and get past the number 57 of Johnny Garnes, because he thinks he has the pace to go and win this race. He won earlier on in the MKGP 50s, but Mason Foster at the front of this one, we've ignored him a little bit, but he's flying out the front of this race. They're setting a 52.3 on that last lap, and that is the fastest lap of the race. A 2.5 second advantage he has over yesterday's winner, Harrison McKay. Harrison just flew away in the wet yesterday, but it just seemed as if that battle between Garnes and Brown yesterday was holding up the rest of the field. Clayton thought he could get through and try and go and catch Harrison McKay, and so did Mason Foster, and Mason proving that he has the pace to be at the front, because now he's 2.5 seconds ahead of anyone else. But here is the live championship at the moment. It's Brown on 378 points ahead of Garnes with 364, and that will make the championship go down to race 3 later on today, with Brown behind Garnes in this race. Of course, to win it in this one, Brown needs 7 points more than Garnes, and it's not looking likely at this point in the race.
No, and Lucas Brown really starting to fall off the back of Clayton Edmonds and Johnny Garnes, and starting to fall into the clutches of Alfie Davidson and into the clutches of Ted Wilkinson, who's having a very good run in 7th position as well. Ted Wilkinson moving up from 9th into 7th. But Lucas Brown, your current championship leader, if all things finish as they are, that gap will be 14 points going into race 3, so it's going to be all to play for. But Johnny Garnes needs to start closing in on Harrison McKay and Mason Foster, and like you say, Mason Foster, who's having a brilliant run. This is what we saw from him back at the opening weekend of the season back at Lydd, where he picked up a really strong result in these tricky conditions back at that circuit on the south coast of England. And the 88 is once again showing that he's got the pace to be out there at the front in the GP 70 class. Harrison McKay, fastest lap last time around of 52.08, was about 0.3 of a second faster than Mason Foster. But however, he is starting to get reeled in by Johnny Garnes. It was a 5.1 second advantage. However, it's now closing down a little bit between the pair of them. It's 3.9 seconds. So Garnes is starting to get on it now that he's cleared Clayton Edmonds and Lucas Brown.
Yeah, Johnny just trying to put the hammer down later on in this race. Still 7.6 seconds behind your race leader and 4 seconds behind second place. So it's looking like it's going to be third place for Johnny Guinness. But still 7 laps to go in this one, so anything can happen. And never discard the number 57 of Johnny Guinness, because we've seen just how quick he can be in this championship. There's Harrison McKay, yesterday's race winner, and won it by some margin yesterday. Absolutely flew out the front of this race. But this time it's Mason Foster who's flying away out the front. Harrison McKay some 3 seconds behind Mason Foster at the moment in this one, setting very similar lap times, but with Mason having extended that lead earlier on in the race, it's going to be a tall order for Harrison McKay to be able to go and catch him. But Mason Foster, like you say, a rider we saw really strong in the wetback at Lids, likewise at Wilton Mill, and it's going to be a name that we're going to be looking at next year, of course, because the likes of Lucas Brown, Johnny Guinness, they'll have moved on. So it's going to be between riders like Mason Foster, Harrison McKay, Clayton Edmonds to be battling out for the victory next year. But at the moment, it is Brown who leads the championship ahead of Johnny Guinness. And that's a big crash for the number 61 of Harrison McKay. Big high side on the exit there. So now that promotes Johnny Guinness up into second place. Just lost the rear end there, and it just regripped and sent him over the top. That is disaster for 61 of Harrison McKay, just trying to go and collect his visor off of the circuit there. That was a big impact with the floor.
Yeah, unfortunately there for Harrison McKay. Yesterday's race winner, as you say, big high side for the 61, but that promotes Guinness up into second position. Clayton Edmonds is now sniffing a decent result in the 70s. Currently, his best result in the GP 70s is 4th position back at Ella Park. He's now on the podium and looking at second position behind Johnny Guinness. He's not been dropped by Johnny at all. So Clayton, like we said in the MKGP 50 class, really enjoying these slippery conditions here. Very, very good on these differing conditions to what we see usual during the summertime. But Johnny Guinness is starting to really fall away from Mason Foster, 7.4 seconds. He's starting to have to worry about what Clayton's doing behind him. But Lucas Brown equally promoted up into 4th position with, unfortunately, that fall for Harrison McKay. However, now Alfie Davidson and then Ted Wilkinson and Holly Harris trying to close in on Lucas Brown. So Lucas is not got it all his own way at the moment. He's got Alfie Davidson wanting to pick up that points, but we know that Alfie gets on very well with Lucas off circuit. So we'll see if they can battle on circuit. But Lucas, he's got a bit of work to do, because at the moment Guinness is in second position, taking some more points off of Lucas Brown, and this one's going to go right down to the wire.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about him a lot, but what a ride from Ted Wilkinson, the number 128. Brilliant stuff from him. Only his 3rd meeting on tarmac racing, and he's up there mixing it with people like Holly Harris. He's on the back of Alfie Davidson, and even your championship leader Lucas Brown isn't far away at all from him. So this is brilliant stuff from the number 128 of Ted Wilkinson. He's moved up from flat track. We saw him for the first time on tarmac back at Ella Park, and he's now here in the Premier class here at FAB-Racing, and mixing it with some really good experienced riders in this class. So really experienced, so really interesting to see, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does next year in this championship. A name to look out for is the number 128 of Ted Wilkinson, but equally the number 8 of Alfie Davidson, defending that position from Ted Wilkinson. Also one to watch for the future, and we have reports that the Harrison McKay is back up and into this race. So despite that nasty fall there for him, as Clayton Edmonds has a look to the inside of Guinness, that's your second place man in the championship, and now that's the Clayton Edmonds up into second place in this race, and now has a little bit of breathing space over the number 57 at the moment in this one. So that's less points for Guinness, and that is significant in this championship, because that goes from 20 points for him to 16 in this one. If it stays like this, still 2 laps to go, and you're going to be thinking Guinness is going to be looking to take those points away from Clayton Edmonds.
Yep, he needs that position back from Clayton Edmonds, but Clayton Edmonds has been very, very strong indeed in both the MKGP 50s and 70s this weekend. In fact, he's looking very comfortable on that bike and stretching a little bit of a gap over Johnny Guinness as they open up into the penultimate lap of this second race of the weekend here at the MKGP 70s, the premier class in the road to MotoGP. Of course, FAB-Racing, a official partner of the British Superbikes, but it is Lucas Brown that is still your championship leader by 16-point margin, with all results provisional currently. But that is your live championship ahead of Johnny Guinness. Mason Foster up to 1.296. Third in championship. He's currently leading and has a huge advantage. But last time around, Clayton Edmonds going purple there, setting a very, very good time of 51.956. Faster than anyone else on circuit. And the only rider inside the 51. So Clayton Edmonds is really starting to get on it. Can Johnny Garnes get him back? But behind, you can see the battle is still going on. Lucas Brown is starting to get hounded by Alfie Davidson, Ted Wilkinson and Holly Harris behind. So this battle is going to continue to keep going as they come up to some lap traffic up ahead of them as well. So watch out for that, because that's going to start to heat up on the final lap with Mason Foster currently making his way around. The 88, who has had a sublime race today to get to the front. Mason Foster on that 88 is going to come up to the flag very shortly. He's got a couple of riders taking the flag, but here's Mason Foster, your winner for the second time this season. What a result for the 88. Second position goes Clayton Edmonds and Johnny Garnes in third position. What a result for Clayton Edmonds. Johnny Garnes in third place. Who comes across the line in fourth position? Well, it's going to be a battle all the way down to the end, with Lucas Brown currently heading that one up. Can he hold off everyone else as they all come up to the line in a gaggle? It's going to be close to the line, but it's going to be Lucas Brown in fourth position. Alfie Davidson, Ted Wilkinson, best result on the season for the 128, sixth position. Holly Harris in seventh. Greg Marshall, good result there in eighth. Jacob Stevenson will circulate in ninth, and Harrison McKay, who should be coming around in 10th position ahead of Luke Schofield and Felix Dorling. But big result there for Lucas Brown, not losing too many points to Johnny Garnes.
Yeah, absolutely. So exactly what he needed to do has Lucas Brown. Finished not too far behind Johnny Garnes, and now it is only 16 points in it going into race 3 later on. So you definitely rather beat Lucas Brown than Johnny Garnes in this situation. But it was Mason Foster with a brilliant 4.6 second lead over Clayton Edmonds, who finished in second place and set the fastest lap of the race on that last lap. Johnny Garnes, second place man in the championship, in third ahead of Lucas Brown. Championship leader Alfie Davidson picking up a brilliant fifth, with Ted Wilkinson a really impressive sixth place. Holly Harris in seventh, Greg Marshall in eighth. Harrison McKay, after crashing out, rejoins in ninth place, and Jacob Stevenson rounds out the top 10 for race 2 for the MKGP 70s.
Their final race and the championship decider will be coming up later this afternoon, so make sure you stay tuned for the afternoon session for that. Lucas Brown very much has that advantage. 16 points in it. It's going to go right down to the final race of the season for that Premier Class win here. And equally, they are all, of course, running for the Mark Howell Trophy this weekend as well, for the overall class winner. So we will keep you updated with who takes overall class win in that 1-2. But next out on circuit, and the final race of this morning session, is the Mini F1 sidecars. Now, your champions are the 26, the blue and yellow bike on the Red Bull livery of Mick Williams and Michael Elms. They've taken a comfortable 7 from 7 victories. Yesterday's fight was between Adrian and Claire Ems and Mick and Danny Lee in second and third position. Now, they had a great fight on circuit. That was the first time we've seen real sidecar to sidecar action here this season.
Yeah, absolutely. All the races so far have been quite spread out in the sidecars, but yesterday we saw them bashing panels in yesterday's race, and it was brilliant to see, and hopefully we'll see a little bit more of it in this one as well. The closest anyone's ever got to Mick Williams and Michael Elms has been the outfit of the number 44 of Mick and Danny Lee, so we'll have to wait and see if they can take one to Mick Williams in this one. It's going to be a tall order, just considering how quick Mick Williams and Michael Elms are in that number 26 outfit. But it doesn't look like we have the number 44 on the grid at the moment, so that's your second place outfit of Mick and Danny Lee, currently not on this grid. So we'll have to wait and see if they do manage to get out there and start this race. But if so, it's going to be a comfortable lead for the champions at the moment in this one. The number 26, Mick Williams and Michael Elms, so dominant in this class, and we have no Mick Lee, so that is going to be an empty second place grid slot. But it is going to be Williams and Michael Elms who are going to be lining up on pole position for this one, and they're going to be looking to extend their championship lead, but they are already the champions.
They are, and they will be lining up on pole position with the couple of Adrian and Claire Ems in third position after negating that second grid slot that has been vacated by both the Lees. But then you've got Vince Bailey is back there as well in 4th place. But plenty of racing to come from these mini F1 sidecars, especially out there in this greasy circuit. And I spoke to Adrian on Friday, and he said it's not like racing anything else he's ever. It's not like racing on anything on 2 wheels. It's not like racing a kart. It's not like even being on a jet ski. So it takes a while to get used to, and it's a lot of fun when you're on it. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what they can do there on circuit. It's going to expect to see a lot of sliding here, and of course transition of body weight, incredibly important in these very difficult conditions indeed. But the 26, the champions of Mick Williams and Michael Elms, they've taken 7 from 7. Can they make it 8 from 8 here? The second race of the weekend for the mini F1 sidecars as they get ready to look to the lights. Lights on, pause, and we get ready for lights off and down towards the first corner. It's a poor start for your pole sitters. They're going to get swamped into turn 1. Adrian and Claire Ems take the inside line, take first position around the outside. Jason and Leo Greenstreet are trying to go side by side as they go through, and a brilliant move from the Greenstreets up into the lead of this one. Your championship leaders and champions are back in 3rd position. Not a great start for Mick and the Michael Elms.
No, not at all. Not what they would have wanted at all. But those lights were held for quite a long time on the grid. I think it just caught them out a bit there. You saw a few outfits creeping as we see a wheel in the air there for Jason Greenstreet. Just struggled, Leo just struggled to get onto the other side of that outfit, and that just forced the third wheel in the air there. And now that has allowed the Ems through, Adrian and Claire Ems through into the lead of this one. Jason Greenstreet going real defensive into turn 1. He knows Mick Williams is trying to make a move up the inside there, so now we have a 3-way battle for the lead in this race. Still 6 laps to go in this one. Just a short, sharp race for the mini F1 sidecars. Jason Greenstreet looks to the inside, not close enough to make a move stick on the far end of the circuit. But you're going to have to be thinking it's going to be a matter of time before Mick Williams and Michael Elms find their way through on these guys, because they have been so strong at the front of this championship. And they get brilliant drive coming out of turn 8 now down the back straight, and they make their way up into 2nd place. And now that is Williams and Elms up into 2nd place in this race, and all over the back wheel of the 2 Ems. Adrian Ems going real defensive down into turn 1. No room for Mick Williams and Michael Elms to make their way through on this one. They just need to make themselves as wide as possible around this Red Lodge circuit, trying to make sure there is no way through for Mick Williams and Michael Elms.
No, they've just got to hug the inside line. What can your champions Mick Williams and Michael Elms do? With Adrian and Claire Ems currently leading, they go slightly wider into the entry of the S's, and he cuts off the nose there of the 26. But you can see, do they do the same move they did last time around? It is a quick flick to the right hand side. They're going to go side by side round the back straight, but Adrian Ems just holds onto the position. We saw Adrian and Claire Ems taking to the grass yesterday as they were going side by side down the main straight. They're going to do the same thing this time around with the champions, the 26. But once again, this is a brilliant race from Adrian and Claire Ems, holding off a very, very fast 26 bike, and you can see just how much more speed that 26 took through Senna at turn 1 and turn 2. Adrian and Claire Ems, however, though, seem to have a nice launch down that back straight.
Yeah, Adrian's just making sure he's making that outfit as wide as possible, making sure there's no way through for Mick Williams. Mick Williams trying to invent something there into turn 8. Very difficult, and a big slide on the exit there as they go down into the back straight, trying everything he can to try and get past Adrian and Claire Ems. Adrian doing such a brilliant job of riding and driving as defensively as possible, and there's battles all through this field as well. Down into turn 1, who's it going to be? Let's go real defensive again from the number 76. He knows all he needs to do is keep Mick Williams and Michael Elms behind him on that outfit. So you can see how he just takes to the inside line into every corner. He knows with only 3 laps to go in this race, if he can make himself as wide as possible, there is going to be no way for these guys to make their way through. Trying to invent something again on the far end of the circuit. They're going to try and get the drive once more. They're going to be side by side down the back straight. Can't get close enough as they go down into the final corner. Once more, they're going to come down the home straight once again. Will Mick Williams have a look into turn 1? He's had a look on the last few times, but so defensive is the number 76. We've really got a race on our hands here.
Yeah, this is brilliant racing from Adrian and Claire Ems, holding off the only riders that have taken a championship victory so far this season, and his last time round going purple, a 41.364 for Adrian and Claire Ems, and they're still holding on to this one as they go on to the penultimate lap. Mick Williams and Michael Elms, they've taken every win so far on the season, but Adrian and Claire Ems looking at picking up their first Can we see side by side down the back straight? But once again, a really good run for that 76 as they go down towards paddock for the second to last time. And just one more tour around this Red Lodge circuit. They take the final lap flag, and Adrian and Claire Ems have just got to make their way around this 7-corner circuit. Of course, a slightly shorter circuit for these mini F1 sidecars. A little bit of traffic up ahead for the 90 there, but that's worked out quite nicely there for Adrian and Claire Ems. They've got a bit of a gap between themselves and Mick Williams and Michael Elms. Just a few more corners to go. Can the switchback be done by the 26 as they go into the next corner? That's tight there from Elms. He tries to cover off, and that's going to allow Mick Williams to go alongside as they go down the second to final straight. Elms covers off the inside line. Just one more corner as they come around the final corner. Can Adrian Ems get the run to the line? He is. It's a first win on the season for Adrian and Claire Ems. Mick Williams and Michael Elms are finally beaten. What a race. That's the best race we've seen from the sidecars this season.
What a victory for Adrian and Claire Ems. They did everything they needed to do. Got in the front of this race after that poor start from Mick Williams. Made themselves as wide as possible and made sure there was no way through for the dominant force of Mick Williams and Michael Elms. Still your 2020 champions though, and it is Adrian and Claire Ems that win the race ahead of Mick Williams and Michael Elms. Mark Parker in third, Vince Bailey fourth, Dave Glover in fifth, and Scott Jewett down in sixth place in this race. So a brilliant win there, and what a race we just witnessed.
Yeah, thumbs up between the first and second place finish there. But yeah, very, very well done goes to Adrian and Claire Ems. They really deserve that one. Brilliant, as you said, just continuous defensive riding there from Adrian Ems, and Claire doing her job as much as Adrian. And behind Mick Williams and Michael Elms, well, they've been beaten for the first time this season. However, they are your 2020 Mini F1 sidecar champions, and however, they have been beaten, so it's great to see that others are getting themselves up on the but Mick Williams is coming over to the start line. He's going to do one final lap just to celebrate what has been a stellar season. And Mick Williams, that is the first time that we've really seen him involved in a battle. A poor start, had to start getting past a couple of bikes off the start, but yeah, Adrian Ems and Claire Ems doing a brilliant job just holding them off.
Yeah, absolutely, and they even had the fastest lap of the race as well with a 41.3, so a well-deserved victory for Adrian and Claire Ems. It did exactly what they needed to do around this Red Lodge circuit. Got a brilliant start off of the line, and just helped slightly by the poor start by Mick Williams. They were held for quite a while, but your 2020 Mini F1 British champions, Mick Williams and Michael Elms. What a season they've had. They've been so dominant at the front of this one, winning every race apart from that one we've just seen. There's another race to come later on, but they've just been the outfit to beat all season long.
Yeah, and very much powered by Red Bull is that 26, and what a season from those two. Mick Williams and Michael Elms have deserved every single win they've taken, and even with the second place, they have been fantastic to watch. So dominant in the races they have won, and it's been great to see them finish off the season with a flurry and a fight to the finish with someone else. But yeah, that 26 has been at the front, and it has been so superb to watch. It's the first time this season we've managed to, myself and Tristan have managed to watch the sidecars, and it's been great fun. And this pair have really showed you just how you ride one of these bikes. Yeah,
absolutely so. And they were explaining to us it's so different to anything else we see on circuit, in the way you ride it, in the way we watch it, in the way we commentate on it. And it's just been so brilliant to see such a different style of riding out there on circuit. And it's been brilliant to see two riders and drivers in their absolute form, in the best form possible at the front of this championship. The most dominant force out of any championship in FAB-Racing this year. So a well-deserved championship victory for Mick Williams and Michael Elms.
Your 2020 champions, Mick Williams and Michael Elms. And that wraps up the morning session here from the 7th and final round of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championships. And we will be back very, very shortly for the afternoon session. So make sure you stay tuned. And of course, you can do that by following us all on the social media channels, by being notified when we go live, by clicking that like and subscribe button. But we hope you've had a very good morning here watching, whether you're in the paddock or, of course, you're watching from your warm home or, of course, around the world on motorsport.radio. We'll be back for the afternoon session very, very shortly. We'll see you then.
Let's go! The official BSB Partner Series. This is FAB-Racing.